welcome to the April 6, 2026 Commissioners meeting. There are Title VI forms in the back corner by the door if you would like to fill one of those out and return it to the auditor's office. Patty, if you'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you can remain standing, Brian, will you just lead us in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. We just thank you for this Easter season. Thank you for the resurrected Christ, and we ask you to watch over us. We ask you to watch over our county, our leaders, that we make great decisions that will move us forward in the future. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We do have a rather lengthy agenda tonight. If you are towards the top and at some point you need to leave, feel free. Nobody's going to be offended if your topic has already been taken care of. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Looking first at the meeting minutes from the March 16th meeting. Any corrections?
Yes, there is on the second page under the JRAC opioid funds, it's the ARC's mortgage. That should be the ARK instead of the ARC.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Bill. I did not see anything else.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to claims.
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I would make a motion to accept claims. I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Looking at the payroll for March 27, 2026 in the amount of $427,881.74. Any questions?
I do not.
I'd make a motion to approve payroll.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Up first is the Highway Department, Tim Ortman. Oh, there he is. Hi, Tim.
Tim?
I don't know what order we want to go here in. I mean, if we want to go ahead and do the bridge night report, and if they want to leave, they can.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
That's good.
John,
So trying to do
John
the
squared. No, not getting in?
Do it,
Okay.
Thank you, John.
So I'm John San Giorgio with United Consulting. John's handing out a form here that I'll kind of reference during the presentation, but I'll be quick. I know you guys have a lot going on. United Consulting is under contract to provide bridge inspection services for the county. Our contract covers a 4-year period, which started in April 2025. These bridge inspections are required by Federal Highway Administration every 2 years for any county bridge not owned by NDOT that has a span length 20 feet or greater. These inspections keep the county in compliance with federal standards, and then the county's eligible for reimbursement for 80% of the contract. So Decatur County is in full compliance with federal highway, which is great. This morning I'm evening, I guess. I'm presenting the findings from the second phase of inspections, which was completed in 2025. The report over there, was also on your flash drive, is much easier to go through. Contains several summary reports that are useful to the county in understanding the condition of your bridges, including an updated bridge asset management plan for planning for the future. Each of the 182 bridges in your inventory contains detailed findings, which you can find in that report. Like I said, the flash drive contains a digital copy of the report, and it's interactive where you can just click on the map, click on a bridge, and it makes it really easy to go through. The summary sheet I've shown you kind of gives information on the Decatur County bridges. The front page shows kind of the top 5 bridges we recommend for replacement, as well as the top 5 bridges we currently recommend for rehabilitation. On the back side of the summary sheet, you can find the Decatur County compares to statewide averages. The average age of the bridges in Decatur County is approximately 54 years old, as Decatur County has a larger number of older bridges that were all built at the same time. And they currently have 78 bridges that are over 50 years old. Depending on structure type, volume of traffic, the anticipated service life of a bridge is typically 50 to 75 years. So many of the county's older bridges that were built around the same time in the early 1900s are approaching the anticipated end of their life somewhere in the next 20 years or so. The priority schedules in the report shows our estimate of bridges that we recommend replacing or rehabilitating in the near future, as well as an estimate of costs. So we work with Todd and Tim and the highway department to prioritize those bridges by condition, traffic, geometrics, and load capacity. There are currently 12 bridges we recommend for replacement, with an estimated $16.7 million in 2026 construction costs. There are 9 bridges recommended for rehabilitation with an estimated $6.5 million in 2026 construction costs. In addition to bridge replacement and rehabilitation, we'd recommend the county continue to prioritize funding of maintenance and repairs in order to get the most life out of these older bridges. Decatur County has done an excellent job maintaining their oldest bridges and are just knocking out all of the recommendations we're making on maintenance. So they're doing a great job keeping up. They've performed maintenance on approximately 100 bridges this year, which is pretty impressive. Major work includes concrete patching, crack epoxy injections, installing riprap, adding waterproof membranes on top of beams to protect them. So a lot of steps that will elongate the lives of these bridges. The result of this bridge maintenance is that these older bridges are able to maintain a lifespan as long as feasible. They only have 9 bridges that have a load posting restriction, which is 5% of their bridge inventory. Average in Indiana is 13%, so ahead of the curve there. So that's kind of all I got on the bridge inventory. It's been a pleasure working with Decatur County these past few years. And our goal is to just be an extension of your highway department. So thank you for having us work on these bridges.
Very good. Thank you. That's good information.
Yeah, any questions at all?
I was, when I first took this job, I wondered about why are we doing our bridges? Why aren't we, contracting that out? And I've got the same answer, that it's doing them in-house, we can control that. And I've always heard the highway department does a great job on our bridges. So, and you're telling me the same thing.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, Decatur does a lot more in-house than a typical county does, which is pretty impressive from what we've seen. So.
On the back of the informational sheet that you have here, it has average daily traffic. What exactly is that taking into account? Because 434 for Decatur County is...
That's all the bridges in the county, number of cars on those per day. So 434 per bridge on average. Obviously, some of your major bridges see a lot more. Some of your rural bridges see a lot less. But yeah, that'd be the average traffic on a bridge.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
John and John.
Yes, appreciate you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we did send out for bids for striping at 200 West, so they were due in tonight. We did through an RFP process because it met the threshold. So we did submit out for 4. I don't know how many we got received back in. We got 3 back in.
Okay.
So we got that. Our recommendation would be to just take them our acceptance, advisement is what we'll do. So
Do you have those, Christy?
They're right there. The
Oh,
striping.
this packet right here? Okay. Very good. All right, so we have bids from Lawyer Excavating, is the one that I'm opening now. Lawayer. Looks like their total is $13,612.26 for the striping, and then Indiana Sign and Barricade. Their total is $58,040.20. We'll take those, look through the bid packets, and
see 3, 2,
I only have 2. Yep. So we'll take those, look through the bid packets, make sure that each one of them abided by everything in the RFP. And we'll make a decision at the next commissioners meeting on April 20th. That one will be at 8 a.m., that meeting. All right.
So as far as accepting the other bids we had taken under advisement, so the chip and seal furnishing applied, which was contingent upon funding. The council has approved the funding, so we recommend to go ahead and award that to SC Materials. The 2026 HMA overlay wedging, we recommend to award that to Dave O'Mara. The 2026 HMA patching, bridge resurfacing, skip paving, we recommend to award that to Globe. The fuel, Decatur County Fuel and Unleaded, we recommend awarding that to Premier Ag. As far as the annual materials, we request you accept all for the aggregate, the bituminous, and the drainage structures. And we recommend you award asphalt materials for the asphalt emulsion.
Okay.
You gonna do those individually?
Yes, we are. All right, starting first then with the chip and sealed, furnished and applied. This was not CCMG. You guys have a motion? I'll make a motion then. My motion will be that we award it to SC Materials.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Looking at the annual HMA overlay and wedging, O'Mara was
Low bid.
low bid at $82 for the overlay and $92 for the wedging.
I will make a motion to award Dave O'Mara the bid.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, looking at the HMA patching, bridge resurfacing, skip paving, wedge and leveling.
Yeah, I went through those as well. I would make a motion to award Globe for the 2026 HMA patching, bridge resurfacing, skip paving, wedge and level.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. Then looking at the fuel bids,
Came back as Premier.
Premier was for the net price was cheaper across the board
Then Keystone.
than Keystone on, I think, every single
Yes.
bid fuel.
I'll make a motion that we award Premier Ag the fuel bill, or the fuel bid.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. For all of the stone, so the gravel, limestone, and sand, I'd make a motion that we accept all bids.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And Tim, I can never pronounce this. What is it? Mixture?
Bituminous?
Yeah, there you go. That one. The recommendation from the Highway Department is that we accept all bids there as well, so I'll make that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. For all of the culverts with the drainage structures, I'd make a motion that we accept all bids.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. And then for the emulsion, let me pull that up.
it is cheaper then.
I know they are, but I just wanted to,
Double check it.
yeah. I looked at it yesterday. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we award it to Asphalt Materials for the emulsion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Okay. All right, I think that is all of the highway bids. Is that correct, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on then under topics there for you, Tim, the county highway or the county map update.
Yes. So the county map, so we did maps approximately 10 years ago, had maps printed and stuff. We were contacted by the company that's done it the last few times. Their cartographer, the one that actually does the mapping, graphics, all that, is basically going out of business. Okay? He is going to go ahead and do one final last run if anybody wants this done. So we don't have to redo all the artwork and everything. If we redo the artwork, the whole thing, it costs about $30,000 is where it costs. So right now, and they went ahead and gave us a quote. If we go ahead and do this, the one thing about it, it's got to be by May in order to meet the deadline for that company going out. All right. So last couple times we've done it, we paid for it out of the Plat Book Maintenance Fund is what we paid for, which that money is generated to statutory fund, is jagged right through fees, is what it is. So basically, right now in the balance, we have 34,000 in there, is what we have in there. 2025 expenditures out of that fund was 13,000. 2025 receipts was about 17,000. Okay, so depending on how many maps we would do, he gave a breakdown in there of the maps. So let me get to it just so I can quote it. Up to 500 maps is $8.65. 1,000 maps is $4.64. If we did 1,500 maps, it'd be $3.37. But then maps would be redone with the new corporate limits. The new roads have been asphalted, totally updated data. So if
These
we
are
choose,
small foldable,
yes, the normal standard maps we hand out in the county offices,
Right.
that's what they are.
that's what they are, okay.
Like the paper ones,
Yes.
the ones that are multiple.
Do they have
folds.
advertising and all that on them, or is it just?
No, it
It's
was
the
just
map.
information is what it was, I think, on the
Okay.
last one.
Do we, so I know you said new corporate limits. Has really enough changed with the roads?
I mean, the roads just be basically what the gravel went blacktop. So right now, we're gonna be looking at 20-some miles of roads, probably something like that. That's what would change. 1 mile, one road got extended. There may have been one road built since then. I don't know. I'd have to look. So, yeah, that,
Need more maps.
huh?
Do we need more maps?
I don't know if we actually need more maps. I don't know where we're at on inventory. I know we got a box. We probably got 100 of them at the highway department yet right now. I don't know what the other offices have.
Visitors,
Erica?
there she is, hiding in the back. Maps. Do you hand out maps a lot? I mean, is that, yeah,
We do, but we have some maps that we've made that are just of the city, basically of Greensburg, and then I have a downtown one. And other than that, we have just like an Indiana state map that we give out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, what I'm getting at is most people use Google Maps. They use their phone. They don't use a paper map. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's necessary. If the minimal amount of changes with roads going from paved to gravel, minimal amount.
Like I said, that and the corporate limits are the biggest changes.
And I'm not even sure if, you can look on Beacon to figure out where your corporate
Yes.
limits are. I'm not even sure we need more maps.
Yeah.
I don't see that as I think it's like,
I
if,
agree. I think, when people come in the office, they're usually just, maybe we use the map to reference, we're here, you're two, stores down, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So everybody uses usually Google, usually they bring up their phone and we'll,
right,
they're going further,
right.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm in the same
Oh, see us,
position. I think we
paper
table
map.
that one,
yeah,
Tim, and let's run out of inventory and.
yeah.
Like I said, we have to let them know if we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's basically a do or not.
Yeah, I think we just.
Yep.
I think that's a no for now.
That works.
Yeah.
Okay. Next topic, or do you want to jump into 400
Let's do
West?
400, then if
Okay.
anybody wants to go. That'll work.
Sounds
So,
good.
County Road 400 West, basically it runs between Base Road and Northwest 240. It's been looked at a number of times over the years. And the thing with that road is both intersections on both ends, very tight radiuses, and it has a double 90 in it that's very tight in there with a drainage culvert in it. So we've looked at different projects. The thing about it, it didn't make no sense to do one radius, one intersection, and trucks get halfway down and get stuck and can't make it through the rest of the road. So basically, it's an all or nothing project is what it was. So we've been looking at it a few times over different years. Since then, some of the ground, some of the properties changed hands. Okay, so we picked it back up and looked at the project. So the project we were proposing, be widen the intersection on both ends, redo the double 90s, widen the road out 20 foot wide, which basically is, it's two 10-foot travel lanes, which basically follows the NDOT standard, is basically what it is.
What is it
2 foot
now
shoulder.
currently?
Probably about 15, 16. Probably about 15, 16, something like that average,
Okay,
I'm guessing,
all right.
is where we're at. So looked at doing that. There is one place in there that frequently floods. It's a concrete box culvert, so we looked at replacing that. In replacing that, instead of cutting a big, large waterway, we're actually going to raise the road up in that section to get the cover requirements we need for the culverts. So we don't have to cut a great big drainage ditch a long ways or anything. So anyway, we did that. There was some property owners there that had a couple concerns, had some questions and everything. So they was asked to bring it in front of the commissioners to discuss this, is what it boils down to. So that's what we're here tonight for, to discuss this project going forward or whatever.
What is your proposal with the curves?
So the proposal with the curves, basically widen the curves out. We will actually move the creek channel, I call it a creek channel, it's a ditch. It's probably 6 foot deep, 7 foot deep, away from the edge of the road. So that way there's some shoulder and stuff, some buffer there. So it'll be widen that, put a drainage structure in, a pipe, corrugated pipe at that location. So the north intersection will be widened out, 2 drainage pipes. They're smaller pipes, 24, 30 inches. Widen road, double 90s. Like I said, the culvert pipe, the drainage where it frequently floods will be road. The other end, South Base Road, actually has a couple concrete, I don't call them fence, imposts, a couple structures, you know what I mean? They would actually get removed there, take them traffic hazards out, redo the drainage area and widen that out. So basically, large farm equipment semis could transverse that road. It'd be highway standard, what it'd be, is what we was looking at doing.
And when are you proposing, if we approve it, that you'd be doing the work?
It'll be this year. It's actually in the budget with new asphalt, everything this year is what it's in the budget.
So you're looking at somewhere between like 2 to 2.5 feet on each side of the
Yes,
road
yes,
to
that's what
widen
you
it.
Look at widening, yes.
Okay. And is that within the easements that we have in place now?
May it be within the road right of way exemption, yes. And the place that would be outside of that, we would get additional right of way. I mean, we gotta talk to landowners like the pipes and that type of stuff, the rerouting.
Is that at the curves that,
The double 90s?
yeah,
Yes, so the channel lays right there on the north side of it. So yeah, we'd actually be moving that away from there, so it's got some buffer if a car gets off, they just don't wind up in that ditch.
Does this kind of follow along with some of the other upgrades you've made throughout the county?
Yeah, it follows our standard spec. Yeah, that's what it's designed to.
Because I know you guys have had some efforts, to try to improve, the sizing of the road.
Yes, and I mean, the NDOT standard design for this road, I include them in there. The minimum standards is 10-foot travel lanes, 2-foot shoulders for ADT up to like 400. I mean, all the way down to 50, that's where we're at, local road. So we're basically on the minimum design standards for a county road recommended for NDOT
so,
standard guidelines.
so the road surface is 2 to 2.5 feet on each side, and then there's gonna be a stone shoulder. On
Yes,
top.
2-foot shoulder, yes. We'd be the minimum on it, yes.
Is there currently a shoulder that goes down 400 on both sides, or is it a situation where there used to be and grass is growing in that shoulder?
I'd say that's where it is. A lot is just narrow, yes. So it's a little bit of everything. That was a gravel road. I don't know when they did it. I think 2012 yet. I know it was, when I looked at the culvert inventory, it was still gravel.
Okay.
So it had been wrapped and stuff since then. It just wasn't wide when it got added to the asphalt.
And what would you resurface the entire road then?
Yes.
And what?
To be HMA, hot mix asphalt, is what's in the budget.
I think we have some of the homeowners on 400 here. Does anyone want to speak? Yes, ma'am. Yep.
What type of studies have been done to determine the risk involved to citizens on the road and how much often it's traveled? There are 3 homeowners on this road, it's not traveled often, to justify the changes to the road?
I guess part of the biggest thing is connectivity to traffic. So semi-truck traffic, large farm equipment. But as far as the actual study, we're just going by what NDOT design standards are, is what we're going by. So that's where we came up with that. And it's by traffic volume also. Okay. So even on that road, even to 50 vehicles is the lowest criteria they make. Okay. I mean, that's as far down as it goes, is 50 vehicles a day. And it's still 10-foot travel lanes, 2-foot shoulders. No, that's what I'm saying. Even below that, that's the lowest design that NDOT even designs to for
Minimum
that.
standard, you're saying.
Yeah, that's the smallest,
I'm just
lowest down it goes.
done a study to determine
No.
how much it's used and if there's any risk to our citizens.
So if you have a road, what you're saying there is if there's 1 vehicle or there's 49 vehicles.
That is still the standards recommended, yes.
Okay. So
But has
I
there
don't-
been
I
a
don't think
traffic
there-
study,
I don't think
traffic
there's
count?
I mean, why now?
I don't believe there's been
I
a
don't
traffic
think so.
count or
I
traffic.
mean, we can do traffic counts. I mean, we can do traffic counts. I mean, we can do that. We do them right now.
I mean, but, you know, I don't understand the necessity for spending this type of money, which I haven't heard a dollar amount yet.
No, not yet.
When, you know, I'm asking about like, is there a risk to people driving down the road? And, you know, again, the usage.
What do you mean by risk? Like what risk?
I mean, has there been a bunch of accidents, basically?
Oh, has there been issues that
So
have
why we
led
should
to
update
lead
it.
to
Right,
this
is there a
conversation?
reason to update it? I could see if you're having so many accidents a year but if we have a farmer just complaining about getting equipment down the road when they've been doing this, it sacrifices the quality of life for the 3 homeowners on this road. That if you then increase the standard to highway standards, you're gonna have people going too fast down that road that my grandchildren are on, and their pets, farm animals. For what reason? Because one person that doesn't even live on the road wants it wider? I'm just trying to understand the reason. There's more than that.
And just to be clear, it's just not highway standard, it's just for it's what the
That's exactly
specifications.
what I was looking at, was to see what the table is called.
It's the specifications for the county roads. So that the minimum is that. So anytime like we alter a road now, or go back to even potentially pave it, right? We look at, does it make sense now? Well, not doesn't make sense. We have to change it to meet the new specs. So there's been a lot of projects in the county that have widened corners, just because, you know, they're built narrow. And so some of this, and it's for that reason, right? You come up to it, there's somebody coming around, even if they have a wide trailer, you know, it makes it really hard to,
All right, I
if they're
understand.
at 9 feet and you're at
They've been
6,
doing it for
right?
30 years, though. It's only one farmer complaining out of 3 of them that farm down that road.
If there needs to be a solution, what's the minimum viable product that you can do? I mean, do we have to, widening the road is the biggest issue. Why, if he's concerned about making corners, why can't we only address the corners?
But I think, as Gabe is saying, is that if we're gonna work on the road, we have a minimum width that we have to go to, 20 feet.
I mean, we were originally told that commissioners were able to vote to not go to 20 feet. That's what we were originally told in our first.
So there is provision that allows them to do it. I think it's based on a few different criteria, yes.
But as a commissioner, if we're going to work on a road, I would want that road done at a minimum standard at 20 feet wide, so we don't have to go back in 10, 15, 20 years and then widen it again.
And I see it as a risk too. And I want to obviously get your opinions. I mean, I see it as a risk if the road is only 15 feet wide and there is an implement coming down the road for anybody else who's trafficking on that road and happens to have to pass that person at that time, there is no room to pass. So
It's not been an issue. That's why it kind of goes back to my question. Has there been any problems in the past?
is there anybody else?
So, and like I said, this didn't just come up. You know what I mean? We've had designs at different sections of this. It's just we've never been able to do both intersection 90s at one time. So, I mean, it isn't like this just came up to look at. We've had designs for quite a while, a couple of them intersections.
How long has that, have this been?
I'm going to say 5 or 6 years when we first did the one on the north side. And that's when it was designed that if we can't do everything, because we didn't want the trucks getting caught in the middle and stuff, to not do anything. We're better off they can't even make it on the road, much less make it on the road and get caught halfway down it.
Matt, how wide are your ambulances? What about your fire trucks? Okay. Because I mean that's part of a concern as I sit here looking at whether or not a road that is narrower, if it's something that should be addressed. Are we going to force people to get completely off the road for a fire truck or an ambulance to also get by? That's part of the concern for me too, if we're talking about risks. That's what goes into the equation there as well.
Also, the 3 homeowners on that road all don't really want this to happen.
Right. Yep.
And
And we've talked.
yeah.
Yep. We've talked.
And also earlier he said that it's around 15 to 16 feet right now, adding about 2 feet to the side. In front of our house, it's about 12 to 13 feet. So you're adding about 3 to 4 feet and onto our property.
Why is that, Tim? Why is it more?
They vary. I mean, the road just
The road
varies.
width.
It just has.
Their
Comes
house
in and
is the
out.
closest to the road. You're getting very close
I mean,
to
all
it.
houses, all 3
Yeah, they're all-
houses sit
yeah.
close to the road, but ours is probably the closest.
Right.
So to me, you're causing more of a hazard by, there's gonna be people going very fast down that road. It's a straight stretch of road, that increases the
They
hazard.
already do. People, I mean, the farm equipment, semis already fly down that road.
And you make it nicer, they're gonna go faster. That's a fact.
Yes.
I spoke on speed bumps originally too, but
We went down that road about 2 hours ago, and a Lincoln Navigator came the other way, and I had one tire in the grass, because I know we're going 5 years, and I was going 35 miles an hour, we were the best Navigator stories.
That's my thing is,
Some kind of rumble strips or some kind of speed bump, like solar powered light that flashes saying speed bump for children to play in the area that's common.
I'm more concerned about the narrow of the road than I am the width of the road. The wide, I mean, it is,
That's back to my point. Has it been an issue? Has there been do you have any proof showing that that's an issue?
It was an issue about 2 hours ago, because I had one tire in the grass.
Well, have there been any accidents on the road because of that? I mean, I'm serious.
Tire in the grass.
I grew up there, never saw
I
a
lived there for
whole-
22
yeah,
years,
So
and it just-
I couldn't,
Tim, when we're looking at doing anything on roads in the county, are we widening them or are we keeping them the same? I'm asking.
we're
you. I'm
real-
not, I'm
we
not
really
asking
try to
with an
get all the
agenda.
width.
I'm
We
asking
really are.
about what we're
we really try to get all the width we can.
Okay.
We really do.
and I get that's what we're doing, so
Right.
that's why I think we're here to say, like, we just don't want it to happen. We don't want the road to be touched essentially, if that's what it has to come down to.
When was the last time the road was touched?
Like I said, 2012, I think it was gravel right after that, but basically nothing's been done since then. Yeah.
Are there not any higher priorities, I would think, than a road that has 3 homeowners on it? In Decatur County?
I mean, if I was concerned about roads and traffic, I'd be putting money towards the bend and Vandalia right behind Honda that
Where an
people have
accident-
died at.
yes,
So
that's
that's
true.
where I'd be putting money.
Right, exactly. People have died there.
Where's that at?
The bend where they took those trees at behind Honda.
It's actually where that house was that got moved because of Honda coming in.
Okay, so yeah, but that's actually Greensburg. That's not actually county road you're talking about. You're talking about,
Vandalia's not,
no, that,
no, not there. That's city of Greensburg.
pardon me?
Not the 400.
Yeah, that's
It's
city
all
limits.
annexed in.
That's all been annexed.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, for me, if we're gonna work on a road, I think it needs to be widened. I think that the width makes it safer for vehicles to travel on. And you don't have to worry about getting off the edge of the road or the side of the road. You want as wide an area. Now, as far as speed goes, I agree that you pave a road and you make a really nice road, people think they can move faster on it, right? There's no way we can control that.
You could try, I mean, like he said, speed bumps and signs and stuff.
Okay,
So
signage, I
I
mean,
know
even,
some people ignore it, I know, but speed bumps, wanna hurt your car.
real
not
quick,
kids.
the signs, we can't. So the children at play and stuff, that has all been taken away from us. We don't own those signs in the county anymore. The schools own them, or private property owners that came out to where those are now a liability for the county to have those signs.
What about speed bumps?
Speed bumps is also a liability. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't want speed bumps because of snowplows. I have no problem looking at a traffic study, you know, maybe if we
Well,
look at
so
doing
then-
reduced traffic speeds. But like I said, I think a speed bump in the middle of a county road,
So what's the middleman, what's the answer? for
Yeah,
the
because
Safer but wider.
I believe, you haven't been able to prove to me there's any risk at all to our citizens right now.
So I-
That's my first question. But I guarantee faster, 60 miles per hour in front of these houses that are close to the road is gonna increase that risk.
I think traffic enforcement.
What?
Traffic enforcement.
For traffic,
You're gonna
what's,
have
what are we
cops
gonna do
out
there?
there?
Yeah.
I mean, you write tickets if people's excess speeding. I
I've
mean,
never seen a cop on our road for that reason.
I mean, we could probably have the conversation, but
Gonna
yeah.
go up if that road widens. You have not just told me about any risk that we currently have.
Well, 12 feet wide or 13 feet wide is a risk.
There's nothing that's been documented. Do you have something in the past 10, 20 years that show that we have our citizens getting hurt out there or something?
I don't have anything in front
All
of me.
right, and that's my point. But when you increase it, they will be going 60 miles per hour down that road, and the houses are very close.
I mean, say something, God forbid, did happen to one of my kids or something, how would you guys feel about that then after doing this?
Well, obviously, we don't.
Yeah,
No, I know
mean,
that's
We don't want
everybody's
that for
plan,
anyone
but
anywhere in the
I stay at
county.
home with our kids. I already get weary about taking them out because people fly down that road, especially during June when it's where the one area is closed down for a week for the officers to
Yep.
practice and everything.
Yep.
You have Honda getting out, it's insane.
Right.
It is insanity. how
The
fast-
traffic's gonna increase, so it's gonna be faster and more traffic,
Sure.
so
So there
to
is
me,
a
it's
lot of traffic on the
increased
road.
risk.
During that week.
Yeah.
It is insane. I mean, that's the detour, and I know you, like, it's insane how crazy it is during that week, and then just any other time. And then during, the fall and everything with the semis, they already go crazy fast.
The voices of the people that actually live on the road need to be heard.
Yeah, that's why we're having the meeting. That's
But-
why,
and-
that's
and
why we're having the
I understand-
meeting.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I hope they're heard and not ignored.
Sure. Jay, is there anything that you want to say? I know you're one of the farmers in the area.
Property on that road changed hands, and the rain flow is going to change directions for some of the ground. I need to get all his curves to be widened if possible. It's impossible to get a semi through those morning and night. That's my biggest challenge. I can't get my combine through the culvert.
But he can go down Vandalia. I mean, is this often that you're doing this? I mean, is it that much out of the way? Do you have to go a couple miles out of your way when you're making this type of?
Every time I'm on the road, it's a danger. So every time I go a mile, it's dangerous.
But
You could also say it's danger for having people go fast down the road with kids.
How many traffic counters do you have, Tim?
We have 5. I mean, we can go run a traffic study. I mean, run traffic counts.
Multiple angles just to see where traffic flow is, so we got a counter for that.
Sure can. Yep, sure can. Yep, sure will.
if we could do before the curves and where that road separates and make sure that we see which way traffic's flowing entire.
Sure can. Yep.
And we've spoke to other farmers that own property on there too, and that's not been a problem for them, that they've been farming it for decades.
Let me ask you the difference. Is there a difference in
No,
equipment size or anything like that?
we spoke to Riegers.
Okay. All right.
They support not buying it.
They support either way, but their words have been, we don't understand. We've been doing it for over 30 years by now.
Which house is yours?
We're in the middle.
The middle house?
And the other homeowners are here as well.
Do you guys want to say anything?
Do you feel like, Dan, widening the road is a safety hazard, like for speed? I mean, is that, you guys feel the same way? Two people going too fast? That's, I guess I keep going back to, the narrow road seems more unsafe to me than a wider road.
Still gonna go fast.
Except that
So it's more unsafe to drivers, you're saying, but not
It's
to
safe.
our house, or
Yeah, it's safe
properties
to
and our
people
children.
who travel on the road to have a wider road, and you're not,
Of course, that would be true, except that if you go from whatever your traffic study might find out, maybe we have 30 people go down the road today, and then you got a nice brand-new road, and traffic increases from Honda, and we all of a sudden have, what, 200 or so, who knows? I mean, then that risk increase.
Has there been a point in time in which a vehicle has veered off of the road? Because we aren't changing the direction of travel in this proposal. It's still going to be the same direction of travel, the same lanes basically that we have now. Have there been instances in which vehicles have veered off of the roadway into your yard with the current structure or direction of
I
travel?
lived there since,
Okay,
yeah, 98,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
no problem.
sure.
Which, I mean, from seeing the proposed 90, it doesn't look like it, just maybe widening it, doesn't look like you're affecting the curve as much to it, what it was originally planned, but then I heard readers didn't take up much of their property. So that's why it got changed.
Yeah, so you're not straightening out the 90s at all, or trying to straighten the 90s, because that
Still
would
give
be,
me a bit.
that was the biggest risk, is the way they are now, because yes, like people end up, you use more signage there. Like if you're traveling down that road way too fast, like people do sometimes, and then all of a sudden it's a 90.
There
you
have
don't
been wrecks
realize
down
it.
there.
Yes, they've ended up in a creek. Yeah, I know that, yeah.
What's that?
I think one of,
Okay. Well, they ended up on my porch one day,
sure of that.
but yeah, so maybe twice.
I am personally not against fixing the pinpointed issues with the road, but as you guys were saying, you'd have to widen it.
what are the pinpointed issues?
Like the ends of the road, the 90,
Oh, okay,
spot by your guys' house.
the intersections
Like
Is
at
that
the
what you-
ends, like widening the ends of the road.
at Base Road and at 240?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like I'm not against those things, but like what you guys are saying, if we're gonna work on it, we have to widen it.
But here's the issue, if you widen the two intersections,
You're making it more accessible. for
Then
bigger pieces of
make it-
equipment, and
Not necessarily.
then they get stuck.
what's that?
You think you're gonna make it more accessible?
No.
If you're looking at it
If you widen both those intersections for a semi or farm equipment to get down through there, then they get to the S curve and they can't get through it.
Oh, yeah, no, she's saying like, do those things without widening the whole road. Fix the S curve, widen the
I mean,
S
semis have
curves.
gotten through it all, like most. of the
Yeah,
time. I don't- yeah, I don't-
semis get through there. I don't know where that's ever been a problem. Jay, you think we can do semis through there? Daylight, okay, I don't.
We don't need the argument,
I
okay?
mean, Eric, I mean, you drove it all the travel, did you? Okay, I mean, semis though. Semis, I mean, he drove semis.
disagree with the S-curve.
But yeah, if there's a way of not.
And my only fight is the widening of the road, so my thing is either.
And that concern is speed, so if there's something that you can do, and it just, I guess decreasing speed limits would be one thing, but, right?
Speed limits.
But if you can do anything physical that, but you're saying you don't want. You just need it slowed down in front of the house, and then Jay owns the property on the other, on the, what, the,
South side.
south side. I mean, we're getting closer to her home, which is her home now. Push it over on the Jay's road, side of the road.
I thought there was a reason why we shouldn't do that.
I mean, so right now, we shift as much as we could to try to keep it alive. We don't want the road just jogging. You know what I mean? So we got to kind of transition is what we got to do. So it does transition the way the current design is right now. So right north of the very north house, we're only like a foot to the one side of the road. The rest of it's on Jay's. It is kind of a wedge. It does get wider. It goes down through there for the transition. But yeah, we pulled over as much as we can without just doing something like that. Yeah, we've been trying to take everybody's considerations into effect as much as we can to lessen the impact as much as we can.
So, Tim, as far as how this could affect the homeowners the most, I'm looking at issues that popped up in, what was it, 2023 from the 2022 CCMG with that asphalt overlay,
Yes.
where there were large areas of raised asphalt that created drop-offs on the side of the road.
Yes.
That has caused issues in different parts of the county that we've gone back and addressed with
Yes.
gravel shoulders and whatnot.
Yes.
But with doing an asphalt overlay, are we gonna run into the same thing here? Because that's where I see a potential issue.
We could have some, yes, but it'd be corrected as soon as it's paved. You know, we purchased a road widener.
Yeah.
So we're able to go in there and do it ourselves very quickly
Right.
and not rely on a contractor, have to come back 2 or 3 months later to address it, have to live with them concerns with the school bus, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be able to address it very quickly, yes. Because we'll be able to do that in-house.
Because I think with the concerns that they have voiced with the proximity of the residents, I don't see the direction of travel or the speed necessarily as being like the primary concern. I see that drop-off or a potential drop-off being more of a potential issue with what other areas of the county have experienced with vehicles getting taken
And
off.
we'll mitigate that as much as we possibly can. I mean, now's the time we can do it through design,
that-
everything else.
When you have a 20-foot wide road, you have less.
Yeah, but we ran into that on 700 West.
700 west,
No, 700
500 north. I believe
500
is a
north
big one.
had I
We could,
want to say two different.
I mean, we can mitigate that right now because we're actually in there. We'll build and mitigate it. We will mitigate that, minimize it as much as we can.
For me to understand why that happened, did that drop off with the overlay happen because of dips in the topography, or what was that
A
issue?
lot of the times what it becomes is the road gets a really pronounced crown in it.
Okay,
So when you come across with the standard 2%, okay, you got to get above that crown. So a lot of times, if the road's this way and we're paving this way now, it automatically raises it very a lot. Okay, so but by reconstructing this road, you know, if that is a concern, we'll just reconstruct that section of road in there to mitigate that, to make sure we don't have that issue. Yes. Yeah, like I said, we'll mitigate that right there at them house yards. I'm not worried. I mean, if that's a concern that we need to work with and adjust, we can do that, yes. I mean, it's not feasible. We're out here doing 80 miles of road, do it with dirt, but through these house yards, yes, we can make that, we can accomplish that.
and the price tag.
I can get you, when we figure out what we're gonna do, I can get you a full price tag. Yes. 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 So that well, we are going around that well right now. We're going to leave that well in place.
And how close is the road gonna be closer?
I want to say we're 8 feet away from it or so. Yeah. Yeah, that well is staying in place right now. Yeah. I know that was concerned if it went away and this and that, so we decided just to get away from it. You know. Yeah. So yeah, so when we was working with that landowner there, we decided the best thing is just to leave it. So yeah, we worked with the landowner. It's going to stay. We're not going to affect it. Yeah.
And a gas well is okay if you that close to the road?
Yeah, we're outside the clear zone. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of gas wells that are 3, 4, 5 feet from the road.
Yes.
Look at 240, that large gas well there by Rieger's. It's close to the road. I mean, it's probably within 6 feet of the road on 240. So, I mean, that's unfortunately, yeah, there are multiple gas wells that are close to the road. Down Millhausen Road, there's several gas wells that are close to the road.
Sheriff, as you sit here, anything from public safety on your side?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any accidents we've had out there
Okay.
without researching it.
Yep.
So, no.
If we do nothing, Tim, road just staying the way it is now. And what's the current condition of the road? Do you know what the pacer rating is off the top of your head?
I'm going to guess about a 3 right now.
Okay.
I would say the north half of it's probably way more distressed than the south half.
Well, that's the problem is like we have to make decisions
are
for
main-
all of the county
those are
roads,
nice.
right?
Speed bumps.
When was so?
Natural speed bumps, which we don't like.
They
We
work
want our
well.
roads to be,
They work well.
They work well when you got kids living on that
Our
road.
our goal is a minimum of a 6 on the pacer rating, so that would be substantially below where we're at.
I mean, so it would have to be just that it needs regular maintenance as it's had ever since 2012, like you said, when it's first.
Yeah. So basically, what that happened, what that's going to tell us is it is not feasible going there and chip and seal it to try to preserve it. We're in a structural situation, hot mix overlay type situation. That's what that tells us. Probably, yeah. And they redid that. Yeah.
So you said that the commissioners have the option or the discretion to veer off of this geometric design criteria for rural local roads. That's what was referred to as the highway standards.
So I believe part of it comes down like geography. You know, if you'd have a river sitting beside it with a straight shear off, things that get outside of very cost prohibitive. I believe remember a lot of things that's a guidance
Okay.
within. Yes.
Do you know off the top of your head when the last time was that? I don't think it's ever been with the three of us, but when the last time was that the commissioners had
I
elected
do not
to,
recall the last time we'd done anything.
has it been done?
It
while
had
you-
been done, I know, in the past, but I'm gonna say a decade or more ago.
Okay.
I know at one point, the commissioners, we'd have to go back and try to figure out where they adopted the 20-foot, 2-foot shoulders, 2 to 1 side slopes is the absolute minimum that the highway department can design to, period. We could not go below that without coming to ask commissioners, reconstruction or anything. So, yeah.
what was the reasoning for that?
A lot of the reason drove a lot of this stuff is they would put culverts in on roads like this 12-foot wide. So they go and put a culvert in this design for a 12-foot wide road. Then when they go back to widen the road in this situation, they gotta go down and redo every structure, redo everything they'd done. So the whole thought was, if you're gonna expand, you're gonna replace a culvert, you know what I mean? Go ahead and put it for the standard that's gonna be coming at some point in time to widen out to that. That was why, because they were just redoing projects.
Okay.
And I think, no, what I'm saying is like all the culvert pipe stuff we do as a highway, we'd have to do that. I want to say the current standards was 2013, maybe, the design standards. I mean, they haven't changed since then. So I'm very likely about back then is when they did it.
Gabe, do you want to see the road count?
I do.
Okay. All right, so table it. How long does it take for you to get a road count?
3 days. I mean, if we want, I mean, the bottom line is we move them over there, and it's just how long we want them set out there and count. That's what it boils down to, you know.
I think we need at least a week
Yeah, I would
Yep,
to
no problem.
to get a full grasp
We
of,
can do that.
you know, Monday through Sunday travel.
We'll
Get
move
us-
it over and get it out there for at least 7-day count. Yep.
And then we can put this on the April 20th agenda. If you can get us that information prior to
No
the
problem.
meeting so that we can take a look at it, see what the count is.
Yep.
Get us an idea of what the cost is going to be and get us what the actual pacer rating is. And you guys are obviously more than welcome back at the next meeting. Well, I
Count, what would you take from that?
so that way we can see how much traffic is actually there. And I think that can play into the need for the county to go in and invest in a road. I mean, because we are in charge of making sure road surfaces are at a high quality across the county. That's what we're working on every year. I mean, for the last, well, since I've been a commissioner starting in '23, we've done around 100 road miles a year, I think, Tim, in different projects. We have roughly 650 miles of roadway in the county. Is that right?
About 637 miles, yes.
6.
And so your memory is better than mine. Good job. He's retired. So I mean, it's in the 3 full years that I've been up here, we've done roughly half of the roads, and so that's the goal, is that we continue to get it so that we aren't dealing with roads that have potholes, because it's not just, you know, one family or just a handful of families that can be on these roads. So that's part of it, and that's why also the pacer rating is important, because if we're getting roads that are getting down low in the pacer rating, they need to be addressed. So I think that is important. So once we look at that, we can make a decision.
And with that impact of the pacer rating, which you already suspect is low, I mean, how would that go towards your decision making whether or not to widen the road or just look at this not to repair?
Well, so the pacer rating, if our roads fall below a certain pacer rating, it affects our ability to get funding.
Yep.
So that's why we have such we focus so much on making sure that we keep those ratings of those roads in good standing.
I'm just saying, like, say there was no reason to do anything to the road, what is your normal process for that pacer rating then?
If there was no reason to be doing it, we wouldn't be
No,
discussing.
no, not widening the road, I'm just saying, the road something needs to be done because of all the holes in the road.
Then we would what?
What do you
If the
do?
pacer rating, if the
Does it-
pacer rating is low enough, sometimes the road can be improved by doing chip and seal or things like that. But eventually, that road becomes to where that's no longer an option, which is where this road currently stands. So in the situations of this, when the pacer rating's low and the only thing to do is now to reconstruct the road, then we would take it to the standard sizing of normal. So this is the normal procedure. It just so happens that it appears to fall on, looks like bad timing, you know, for somebody else needing it. But this is the normal procedure. It has reached its lifetime. It's down. We'll get the official number. It's reached its lifetime. It needs to be reconstructed. If you're going to reconstruct it, we would typically take them to the 20 feet.
Yeah. I don't want to see us go in and make the investment on a road that's going to be undersized, because we have to look at not just size that's appropriate now for vehicles now, but also vehicles going forward in the future. And that's not just, you know, ag equipment, but that's all vehicles.
Services.
Yeah. So we have to take all of that into account.
debt for, what'd you say, 5 or 6 years?
Yes, different portion of it, yes.
Why now?
So the original
Is it
piece that they
bringing-
were looking at was just the corners. That was the discussions of it before, but now the road itself has fallen to where it needs to be reconstructed. So now it can either go back in and be paved the way that it is, or, meaning paved and widened, or do we go ahead and expand the corners and make them bigger and make the entrances to that road bigger as well? That was the secondary piece of looking at this, was to see, does that also need to happen to make it better?
So you're saying the pacer rating is what drove this whole meeting that we're having?
Yeah.
It's a big part of
Discussion
it.
that doesn't.
That's just the first I've heard about this is the first time I've heard of pacer rating through all of this
Well, it's-
discussion.
We speak about it frequently up here.
Yeah, I get that. I mean,
we've
even with
speak-
talking about this for a few, like, how long we've been talking about it, it's just only been at the end here, we've been talking
It's
about
only
the
been
pacer
because
rating.
of the side, of the curves and stuff has been an issue.
It's just-
This isn't the only road.
No.
I mean, that's what we just awarded was the HMA overlay. You know, all those roads that are gonna be overlaid this year are because of that pacer rating. They all have their time limit. I mean, you look at the roads in Letts, they were just paved. I would argue that maybe some of those roads weren't in the worst of shape, but they fall in that pacer rating by age, so all the roads in Letts had to be paved besides one, which was newer. It had only been like 10 years since it had been done, so it was able to be chip and sealed. But all those roads were just paved because
And widened.
they are, I don't know how that,
Most of them was in pretty decent shape
Yeah.
already. We didn't have to do no reconstruction. I mean, the curves was wide enough. They was able to get around, and
But
so
the roads didn't have to be widened to do this.
they were pretty good shape. No, they were pretty much there.
They were
I mean, they're 30.
For investing the money.
Huh?
They're already at that standard.
I mean,
Hearing is you don't invest the money in it overlay if they're not at standard.
so I'd say majority all of them was. I'd have to go down and put a tape measure on. I don't want somebody to go down and go, it's 19 feet. You know what I mean? 19.5 here.
Trying to
But no,
confirm, like,
we're,
yeah.
yeah. So they were able to accommodate the traffic down there. Is what they were. So the pacer rating is one element of it. It really is. You know, detour links, like we talk about. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that go into it. It really is. ADA. You know, the proximity. You know, you talk about when they close down the one road. That road gets the traffic, you know, but the detour route around there is 4 miles. So, you know, if you take emergency services, just close 250, like you're saying, how far is it from the bypass all the way out past your houses around? So that'd be the nearest emergency detour traffic is if 250 was closed. Okay. You know, what's the detour route out there? 6 miles, 7 miles? It's a long way for emergency service to get around. And that's just taking the first available after 250 is your road. So there's a lot of things like that come into consideration, you know, the proximity to Greensburg, more likely something could happen close proximity versus the county edges. There's a lot of things come into play of why roads get done, okay? Pacer's one of them, it really is.
Honestly, I'm just kind of confused why that's being brought up now. Like, if that's what's gonna cause it to happen, why wasn't that the point to begin with?
I don't know about
I'm just
those
confused by
discussions.
that.
I mean, the pacer rating is something that we look at on,
I get that, and I
All
get
of
what you're
our-
saying, like,
yeah.
I mean, it is.
Right.
But if that is what's going to make the decision, like, what's the fight for? Why are we here? Then, but why wasn't that brought up to begin with?
again, that's one of the things, right? So we have to maintain the pace ratings. We watch them. They might sit at a 3 for a little bit. Once they get to a 2, it's a problem. So we try to head it off beforehand as much as possible. Obviously, we can't go in and pave every single road as a 3, so we have to pick the ones that may be the worst, right? But inevitably, they all have to be done, and they're on shortened lifespan. So that is one thing that we know that this road needs reconstructed. It's already there. Whether it absolutely had to happen this year or if it could be next year, that may be up for debate, right? But if we know that it has to be done, that's where we stand now. We know that it does have to be done. So I don't know exactly what that timeline is before we hit the 2, but before then it starts to become a detriment to our ability to file funding. Like, I don't know exactly what that timeline is, but we know that we don't set up at all the ratings, right? The state looks at them.
And can you get the funding if you don't widen the road for the pacer rating?
The widening of the road has nothing to do with
Yeah,
that.
that's something
Okay.
that's something the
So
commissioners
you
before us
could-
decided
That's
as
something
well,
that
that,
we
Okay,
feel
well,
like
I
is-
understand, yeah, I'm just asking, like, you could still get fund, that's not a requirement of the.
yeah, I don't know how
funding.
that falls in.
Okay.
Now, your question about why is the pacer rating just now being brought up? I can't answer that. I have no idea. I don't know why nobody has shared that with you. I don't know. I don't have that
I
answer.
mean, I didn't know what the pacer rating was until I just asked.
Right.
I mean, that wasn't something that I knew.
It just wasn't brought up.
It just sounds like a bigger deal than.
I think the simplest way, excuse me,
Go ahead.
I think the simplest way is on the PACER rating, you know, you drive that road, you drive up and down it, does it need resurfaced? I mean, you can drive down, go,
Hold on,
you
let
want
me
my
ask you this.
truthfully?
Let me ask you this. Are you fine with it because of what it does? You said earlier that it curtails higher
If
speeds.
you'd ask my husband, the speed bumps don't look.
Okay. I'm asking an honest question. You know, I mean, are you fine with it because of that, or are you fine with it because the condition isn't that bad?
I mean,
There's a
it
few
is what
spots
it
on the
is.
north
I mean,
side.
yeah, I mean, there's spots that it could
On the
tear your
north
car
side.
up, but I would rather live with that than have my road widened, is what I'm going
Sure.
with.
would-
That's why
and
I
we do.
asked you.
But I live on it.
I understand,
Yes.
I understand, but that's
I
not,
know it's rough. It's been like that for a while.
So,
It's been rough.
That's
Let's-
why I asked you. is 'cause I'm not-
let's do the traffic count. We've
Okay.
got a lot going on here this evening. Let's do the traffic count.
All right.
Let's look at that, but we'll readdress this, okay?
And if you could just, any account into, like, it can't be fast in front of the home.
Yep.
Closer to the homes, and safety is the concern.
Here's the unfortunate part for us, is we can't control speed. We can't control how people drive.
You can
And it-
control speed limits,
We can control speed limits,
I do agree. that
but
people ignore
we,
speed limits
we,
sometimes.
be-
but if there's something at least.
My kids can't play in my road. They're not allowed to ride bicycles on our road. They're not allowed to go anywhere near it.
I'm the same way.
my kids don't
We
even
have
get
people
close
that
to
go past
the,
our house in
the-
excess
we're
of
close to
60,
the- they're
70.
close to the road.
My porch is 30 feet from the road.
Yeah.
I
Do you live on a county road in the country?
I do. It's 30 feet.
But you can control speed limits.
yes,
And
absolutely.
it's, nobody pays
Whatever we
attention
can
to
do
it. It frustrates me up to
Protect the
no end.
safety of the homeowners is
But-
what needs to be, if it,
I mean, we do walk the road. I mean, we all do. We all take walks
And
on
we
the road.
can, and I
but we're
can't.
not gonna be able to.
And we
They're not
can't.
gonna be able to. as soon
And
as
it's,
you
it
widen
is
the
very
roads.
frustrating that people just don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'll be out working near the road and somebody flies by, whips your hair. I mean, it's very frustrating. So I do understand what you're saying wholeheartedly. I grew up on a road that was a blind corner in the county. I totally understand
Well, I
what,
hope you take that into consideration then. with all this.
yeah, we do.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, well,
We appreciate
we'll
listening
do
to
this
you.
on
Honestly,
April 20th. We'll get more
we-
info.
I appreciate you coming in and voicing your
Yep.
opinion, because a lot of times, nobody comes in and talks to us, and we don't know. What we don't know, we don't know, and so, honestly, I appreciate you coming in
Absolutely.
and voicing your opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk about it more on the 20th.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, Tim.
Okay, I'll try to make the rest of this quick.
All right.
So Enterprise, talking to Enterprise, we are looking at some urgent options with Enterprise. So we will get something together and come back next meeting with some recommendation on Enterprise pickup. So we'll do that. North Care, South Care Elementary School is what they call Touch a Truck. So we will actually be participating in that both locations. So we'll be doing that. 421, 74, everybody knows big project coming up with 74, 3 years. Normally, NDOT does not do unofficial detours if they are not closing 74. But there's been a lot of comments, my understanding, in meetings with NDOT about the increased traffic on 421. So I'd like to pursue with NDOT of trying to get an unofficial detour on 421 for the next 3 years, because I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see an increased traffic, even though they don't close 74. But I'd like your blessings to try to pursue that, even though it's outside the guidelines.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
Please do.
Thank you there. The contractor has requested three access points off of 74 onto our county roads. So we will get more information. I'll meet with him tomorrow. So I'll get more information. But I did include a map in your packet of 3 places that they're taking a look at.
Are you thinking of like some form of a use agreement with them too? Or?
Be some type of road use agreement. And I mean, my big thing is they're going to have a big agreement with NDOT how they're going to control. We don't want somebody entering 74 from ours, yes. So they're going to have to come up with that whole legal parameters, how they're going to handle that, et cetera, et cetera. So, within our ArcGIS, we was able to get drainage tools installed. So now our computer program will help us delete watershed areas, amount of acres, So we did get that installed, taken care of. We're starting training on that. So, and the only other thing I got is mutual aid agreements, but I'll cover that. We will with Michael Snyder whenever he comes up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank Johns.
Yes.
Whoever wants to be one, whoever wants to be two.
All right. Hi, Sheriff.
Chris is gracious enough to let me jump in front of him so I can get to my 7 o'clock meeting.
You gotta ask yourself, would he do the same for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's my annual request to close County Road, North County Road 250 West between Vandalia and Base Road West for our annual mandated emergency vehicle operations class training. Again, this is something we've done now for 5 or 6 years. It's a big money saver for us, not having to go to the academy. You've been gracious enough, like I said, the last 5 or 6 years to do this, and we're just requesting again between May 28th and June 8th.
I don't have a problem with it.
No, it's a good thing. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to go out and ride along. I'd encourage
I
you
have
to
not.
do it if you haven't.
Plan
Yeah,
on it this year.
we'll get a date and time, and we'll notify you and invite you out to participate.
Driving the sheriff's,
Sorry?
vehicle?
Yes, we drive our own vehicles.
He did not let me drive last year.
Not my vehicle, no.
The sheriff's vehicle. You said yes.
Not my vehicle, no.
All right, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. All right, Chris, Parks Department.
Good evening, everyone. Just had a couple quick things for you. First thing is we are looking to purchase a new utility trailer for our maintenance crew. Our board has already approved the purchase. It's coming out of Parks Department funds. It's right around $2,300. We've got one trailer that's just old, not cutting it anymore. So forwarded you guys the quotes that we received, and this is the one we decided to go with. So just for title purposes, I need you guys.
Is this a budgeted item?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and allow Parks Department to move forward with purchasing that trailer.
I'll second.
Third?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries.
And then secondly, I'm also asking for approval to increase our department credit card limit. Right now, we're at a $2,000 limit on our credit card.
Sorry, how much was it?
2,000. And with our operation, that is, it does make operations a little tight, and can cause some delay in some things and some progress we're trying to make. I also believe that, I mean, when we have to, we get sent to, or I send my guys to a store and they want to purchase something, transaction doesn't go through, we've got to call the auditor's office. And I personally don't think it's fair to them too, to ask them, they're busy, drop their responsibilities, ask them to make an adjustment for us, as well.
Yes, it happens.
Yep, so I'm just requesting it,
And they're standing there at a register
Yeah.
and frustrated.
I'm just requesting it go to 5,000. I don't think we'll actually ever hit that mark, but we did just this last month. We were close to 4,000 on our card this month after multiple calls to Abby.
But the items that you're purchasing are already your normal budgeted items or stuff from the
Yes.
complex, which has got funds coming back from. it.
Correct.
So
It gives us some flexibility and doesn't take, away from the auditor's job.
That's me.
since you can write as big a check as you want, I don't see the issue with taking the credit card limit to there.
Are any of these items things that can be scheduled for delivery
So,
so that you guys aren't having to go and buy them?
They do
So-
gold medal and Coca-Cola and all that stuff now.
yeah, all that stuff. So everything that we can have invoiced, we do. This is all stuff that's just like necessary, like we have to have it.
And things keep getting more expensive,
Yeah.
which makes the cost.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
I'd make a motion to raise the credit limit to 5,000.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Frontage road lease bids. None received. All right. Any other next step or any other information at this point, or is that it?
I spoke with Ed Lawson from Jurgensen's, and they are in the thought process of they would rather purchase and lease.
Okay.
And when he expressed that to me, he had given the information, the bid packet to the owners, and asked him what they thought, and again, they would rather purchase than lease. And I told him that we weren't currently in the mood to sell.
I don't like the idea of selling county
And he
property.
relayed to us that he felt like one of the things he didn't want to lease the property, one of the reasons was because then they could put as much debris, concrete, dirt, whatever, on that site and leave it for as long as they felt necessary. And one of the things that we talked about was we don't want all that debris there. So I believe that's why they want to purchase versus lease,
Okay. All right, so close that one out, basically.
unless they come back later, but I doubt it.
All right, moving on then, Mike Snyder with EMA.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mike.
One thing that we are here to present tonight is the completion of the updated multi-hazard mitigation plan for Decatur County. That is required by FEMA standards to be put out for public review and public comment. Working with IT, we do have that on the county's website on the EMA page. If anyone from the public would like to review that, go to our page there, scroll down to the bottom. There's one link to download and review the plan. And then there is another link right beside it to leave public comment. And the reason we have to do that all is because of different stipulations that are set out in the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. And then after we go through the 2-week period of review, public review and comment, then it will be sent, all those comments will be collected, sent back to Christopher Burke Engineering, who has helped us write this plan. And then we will submit that to IDHS and FEMA. And then once it is submitted to them, we can begin the adoption process of the plan. So then shortly after that, I'll be back here for you guys to take a look at it and adopt the plan and sign it. After that, I have to go to all the incorporated cities and towns and get them to adopt it as well, and then we will have that process complete. So purpose for my visit here was to publicly announce that plan, and it will be up there until the 17th. So until the end of business on the April 17th, then it'll be taken down and all the comments will be forwarded to Christopher.
That can be found on the county website.
Yes, sir, on the EMA page.
Right. Very good.
Other than that, had been talking with Tim. Where'd he go? Yep. There you are. Had been speaking with Tim about one of the things my office has been looking at is a debris management plan, looking at that because some of our past planning with that had been very outdated, and FEMA's always changing things. Part of that would eventually come into play for disaster would be mutual aid agreements, especially when it would come to debris from a disaster. However, also in speaking with Tim about a lot of that, his department would certainly find that advantageous as well to have that even outside of the debris management plan. Did some little bit of work and some research and pulled together a sample, had Tim look at that, and then I believe Tim has forwarded that over to the attorney. And so then once he's had a chance to review that and weigh in on it, then we'll see what he thinks and where we might go from there with that.
So I think what we're asking is we'd like to do this mutual aid agreements at the same time. We approach the incorporated towns to adopt the hazard mitigation plan. We'd like to approach that too at that point, if they want to sign on it.
Yeah, I could do it all at the same time.
So we really had two instances though where one was Westport and St. Paul. St. Paul was 2 years ago where they got hit pretty hard.
Yep.
We went up there and helped them out. We took some crews and stuff, but we really need the agreement in place prior to the event to be eligible for federal funding if they ever receive it. But that's the reason.
It would come into play in the recouping of funds, and when FEMA would come in, want to see all that broken down and all that documentation and tracking, then is where that would certainly come
It makes sense, especially when you're looking at reimbursement. You've got to have all those pieces in place.
Yeah.
All right.
Chad, I don't believe has seen this, so could you make sure that's forwarded first thing in the morning?
Very good.
Do you have anything else for me?
I have something for you later, but we'll catch up later.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. All right, Doug Westerfeld with the APC.
Good afternoon. Today I have representatives from Commonwealth who's providing the plan review for the IPA project. But before I go into that, I do want to just kind of summarize the comp plan, where we're at with it before I had the gentleman come up. This Thursday we'll have another steering committee. It'll be more of a deep dive into the subject matter that we've been working on. And then April 30th is what is called the Big Idea Open House. That'll be a public event where the public can come and kind of get an idea of what it's not a draft of the comp plan, but the ideas of the comp plan. So that's what is on the agenda for the comprehensive plan.
Where is that and what's the times?
That is on April 30th. It will be at the EMA building. The time has not been set yet, but as soon as it is, I'll let you know.
So they're large gathering, they're large meeting room, is that where you're
Yes.
gonna be? Okay.
Yeah, EMA training room. So I have gentlemen from Commonwealth Engineering here. What we've requested from them is to come periodically in front of the commissioners to kind of give an update of the battery storage project. They're doing the plan review. The actual construction of the batteries and the installation hasn't occurred yet. The building permit will be issued once they've completed their plan review, but I wanted to give them the opportunity to come in and introduce themselves and kind of give you guys a little introduction.
Hi, my name's Jack McCormick. I'm with Commonwealth Associates. We're an engineering consulting firm in Jackson, Michigan. Got Michael Mitchell with me. Mike is electrical engineer. We are looking at the plan review for the county. Specifically, we're looking at electrical and civil structural to make sure it meets code requirements from safety perspective and also the National Electrical Code. To date, well, I'll give us a little bit more on Commonwealth. We work in the power industry only, so our focus is on battery energy storage projects like this one, but also anything power generation related, substation related, and transmission lines. So very familiar with all of this type of equipment, what it looks like, how it gets put together, particular inspections that might be required. With a project like this, it's usually utility scale, and counties don't often get involved, so having someone like us can be very helpful. So we'll just be acting as extension of the county so that we can do these site plan reviews and help in the permitting process. I think everybody's aware of what the project is. I can go into that if needed and where it's located and the space it's taken up. Because of the timing tonight, I just figured I'd skip through all of that, but happy to answer any questions if you guys would like. To date, we sort of just finished the site plan review. I actually just shipped it to IPA prior to jumping in the car and heading here, so I'll share that with you, Doug. There are a few things that we found that we just want to make sure that they're designing to appropriate standards adopted by Indiana. So everything's looking pretty good, but we're just crossing some T's and dotting some I's. So with that, I can answer any questions or provide more detail on who we are and what we're doing, or even go over the project if you'd like.
What's the idea for how long we're in this review phase of the project?
I suspect IPA wants to be building this. We did drive by the site on the way in. We just wanted to get a feel for access and what it was going to look like and where it was at and who all it might be impacting just for our own benefit. But because of the comments that we made and issued today, I suspect they're going to want a phone call with us this week to go over those and get them resolved as soon as possible. None of them were too difficult for them to resolve. So I suspect within the next 2 weeks, all of these comments will be resolved and we can move on to the next stage.
I guess that was one of my questions was, do they have a start date or, targeted?
The
So we'll be looking at, electrical portion of it and the structural portion of it, so foundations and making sure they're being designed and installed as appropriate.
So so you guys are involved all the way through the construction phase?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
at some point, I mean, there are aspects of the project that Commonwealth isn't involved with, emergency response, the civil portion of it, drainage swales, those kinds of things. Depending on what the construction process look like, some of that might be done after we've completed, but for the most part, we're in it for the duration of the project till completion.
Very good.
So we're on 400 north between County Road 150 and 350. It impacts around 20 acres. A good portion of that is just drainage swales that buffer space, drainage swales. Majority of the project looks like a collector substation, which it looks very similar to any other substations in the county. And then the battery component of it is essentially, I guess, like fancy shipping containers. So kind of reminds you of, Connex boxes, but like a storage unit, that type of scenario.
If you've been in Greensburg the last month or 2 months, you see a lot of them coming through town, those
Yep.
battery storage
Yep.
boxes. There's a lot that have been coming through, Greensburg.
There's another project in Madison. They're ahead of us.
Okay. So they're, cause I see them down 421 a lot. Yeah, yeah,
I did see.
road width.
I did see signs being put up along 3, as far as what the road. Yeah, the roadway. Yeah.
All the way around, yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys looking out for our best interests.
I know this is something that is a niche area to have the expertise for inspections and making sure that they're in compliance with code. So.
It very much so is. All across the country, not just battery storage, solar, and several other type sites, and the places that they're going for these sites to be rural areas, simply because it's those areas that have a large tract of land.
Sure.
The battery energy storage is a lot smaller, but I've seen some of the solar sites that are massive.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's a little bit on us, and we'll be working through Doug. So if you guys have any questions,
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for driving all the way down from Michigan. Thank you.
I flew up from Atlanta to Michigan, and he said, "Hey, you want to take a road trip?" Like,
Well, welcome.
so I woke up in Atlanta this morning.
All right, animal shelter building plans. I have right now, I think, 3 different blueprints for different facilities. I'm supposed to be getting, I know there were a couple others that we had talked about that we don't have. And that way we can kind of look at different facilities to identify the things that we like in different ones and things that we don't like, so that we can get an idea when we get to that point of what we want, what we don't need, that kind of thing.
I like it.
Okay. Lawn care bids. Let me hop over to that email. All right, so let's see here. We had,
Only 2.
yep,
Minkadink falls out of compliance with no shrub and mulch.
correct. Yeah, so Minkadink did not have shrub and mulch bid in their packet. So that leaves us with Tommy's Lawn Care.
I'll make a motion to approve Tommy's Lawn Care for 2026 mowing of the courthouse.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, Motion carries. All right, Aaron Thomas with Lifetime Resources. Thanks for being here tonight.
Hello, I'm actually Michelle Gaitis.
All right, Michelle. Thanks for being here.
Erin had a different commissioners meeting
Oh.
that she attended, and I came to this one. I'm the director of Catch a Ride. We do public transportation in Decatur County and the other neighboring 5 counties, and we're applying for our 2027 NDOT grant. And part of that process is to get permission or to continue operating in Decatur County, to get your support. It's not a monetary support at this point, it's just a resolution that we can continue operating in your county. And you should have a copy of that. If not, I have one. That is it.
Right.
And do you have any questions for me?
I'm familiar with Catch a Ride, and I think it's a great program.
Yeah, we did, 7,721 trips in just Decatur County last year. We served, 144 individuals. Last year, we also added a 3rd route in Decatur County. We had issues beginning of the year, we were short drivers. At the end of 2025, there was a national, side curtain airbag recall and took out half of our minivan fleet. So 2026, we're looking up and hoping to do more rides and more service in your area.
Awesome. Very good. On this letter here, it says signature of recording officer. That would be me then? Okay. That's very good. You read my mind. 2026-9. All
I'll
right.
make a motion to pass a resolution to continue service.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you for
Thank-
all you guys do.
Thank you for supporting us.
I will.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Michelle. For sure.
Thank you, sir. All right, up next we have REMC Fairgrounds easements. So these are for the Ready Fairgrounds project. REMC needed easements to go in and start the electrical upgrade process. And so both REMC Legal and Chad have had an opportunity to go through, look at the utility easements. Any discussion?
Nope, I think they just mirrored our other ones that we've, looked at for the most part. I mean,
They didn't allow one change here that they allowed in the earlier easement. Reading their email, I get the impression they don't realize they allowed our amendment last time. It's about vegetation, so.
It's a
not
vegetation
big
thing.
deal.
Yeah.
It is slightly different.
All right, so there's only 2 grantor lines here, so all 3 of us sign, or just one of us sign, or?
One of them truly
Okay,
passes.
all right. All right, I'll make a motion that we pass all 3 utility easements for REMC at the fairgrounds.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No, I'm not opposed, but she did say that has to be notarized.
Yep. Well,
Do that in the morning.
Okay.
all those opposed? All right, motion carries. Tripped me up there for a second.
Sorry.
You said aye and
Same people, okay.
What's the- You want to start on the piney while I sign these 3 separate ones?
Jamie, is that what needs to be signed in front of the notary?
These are, yes. Right here. There's one.
These needs to be done in front of the notary.
Uh-huh.
You gotta wait to do it in front of the notary.
That is why I made the comment.
Yeah,
I thought you were.
No.
I am not.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
We got a retired person, so I can slide in here.
Very good.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Well, I'll give you a job back to different.
But that brings up a good, maybe that is a good idea that I become one.
So you need me in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Somebody.
Sounds good. Well, I already signed,
Well, we can go back and,
Trace it.
we can go back and play the video, you
Yep.
know? I don't-
All right. We have some quotes for Piney Engineering at the Highway Department. Heating loops and boiler parts. This one is for $1,027. Another one is for $3,325 for the Highway Department. Any discussion?
Some are an actual maintenance agreement, right? And then some are like an individual,
The maintenance agreements are at the courthouse.
okay.
Yeah, that's what this one is from Piney for the 13,800. Dunlap is also maintenance agreement. That's interesting. Total investment 13,800. So Piney is invoicing us for courthouse maintenance quarterly. Dunlap is invoicing us every month, both of which are 13,800. Correct? Okay. All right, so before we get to the maintenance agreements, the Highway Department, extra boiler parts. So for $1,027, the pressure switch, low water cutoff, single element, thermostat for temp, dual element, the assembly igniter, O-ring for igniter, flame rod, blower gasket. And then for the $3,325, adjust boiler programming to add lead slash lag capacity. The second boiler will stage on when the hot water set point falls below 10 degrees. Tim, this was because one boiler was actually not running, correct?
So the way it was really set up, one boiler run would be a flip hole in there, boiler run. And one boiler went down.
Yeah.
So the way they're doing it, they're reprogramming it, so one boiler run, and once it gets to 80% capacity, the other will kick in and help boost it. If one fails, it'll be all the other ones. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
I do not.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve both of these for the Highway Department, one in the amount of $1,027, the other in the amount of $3,325 for Piney for the Highway Department.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And then moving to the maintenance agreements for Piney and for Dunlap.
In Charlie's email about these, you know, he did address that they were the same price, but his recommendation was Dunlap. He went on to some reasons about them handling some of the larger factories around town, and there's been a few things that have continued to be missed. We've had some pipes that were switched, hot water feeding into cold, and things that have happened over the years that he thinks it may be better to have a fresh set.
I'll make a motion that we accept Dunlap's proposal for the ongoing maintenance at the courthouse.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we are now on to the animal control director position. We had done interviews. It's been three
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago now at this point. So tonight we need to make a decision on who will be the new director, if we want to offer the position to anyone based on those interviews. So that decision needs to be made here. I'd ask that we refer to candidates as candidate A, candidate B. What discussion do you guys, if you have any discussion?
No, my recommendation is going to be for candidate B.
Any thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I think that whichever candidate that we hire, I would like to see us do a probationary period. Is that something that we can do? And Patty, you could help me out in this.
Yes.
In a probationary period, maybe of 6 months or something. I don't know what length of time, but I feel like
I mean, 90 days is pretty standard, but you can
90 days is typical. So I feel like
extend that if you want.
whichever candidate that we select, I would love to see us do a probationary period. And have some guidance go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish your thought.
And have some guidelines, benchmarks that we want to look at, that things need to be done in a certain timeline maybe. And that guess I was going to go for the 6 months just because of that meet some benchmarks or meet some guidelines and make sure those things are taken care of within this job performance as we look at it, and use the animal control board as part of that eyes, as well as other people to look at this and just make sure we're getting the job done in a succinct way.
Do you want those milestones set by us? Do you want them set by the animal control board? Do you want a combination of both?
I would like to see a combination of both.
Okay. And then as far as review, do you want us directly doing the review, making sure that those milestones are reached?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that for us, it kind of ends with us, starts with us and ends with us. So I think I want to see those, make sure those benchmarks are met, and we're getting the job done.
Okay.
What are your thoughts as far as
I think-
candidate A and B?
I think that's a great idea as far as the probationary period. I think that whichever candidate it is that we go with, it's going to be a new role for them, new responsibilities, and we want to make sure that we're tracking that position in a positive manner that benefits the county, benefits the long-term goal of the shelter, benefits the animals. So I think that's a great idea. As far as the candidates go, I think both A and B brought a passion to working in the animal shelter or in a animal shelter. I think both candidates bring maybe varied backgrounds as far as their work in an animal shelter. I think both candidates, with that varied background, I think both of them can have a positive effect on the animal shelter. I think at the end of the day, I think candidate B, like Gabe is talking about, is probably right. I think that's probably the right fit. It's something that I've gone back and forth on since we've had the interviews 3 weeks ago. What are your thoughts on the candidate?
I could go with candidate B.
All right. there a motion?
I'll make a motion to offer the position to candidate B.
All right, I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, moving on to the Commissioner Park Board appointment.
How many did we have?
Three, I think, maybe three.
I gave you two.
There was three.
Oh, my computer died on me.
Not in Spanish, that was protected.
Thank you, sir. Gracias.
Who do you have, Gabe?
So there was Doug Orr, Gary Hash, and there was one other one that I was trying to.
Steve Raymer.
Yep. I think with these, Chad, we make a motion, approve, and Yep.
I would make a motion to approve Doug Orr as our appointment.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, up next we have TIF Services, a contract with Baker Tilly. They do all of the accounting and ensure compliance for the TIF district, lays out their compensation fees in the schedule on page 5. You guys have any questions? I know it's something that we need to continue having. Baker Tilly has had the experience. They do a good job to ensure compliance. I know Don has no issues with them either. So I'll make a motion that we approve the Baker Tilly TIF services agreement.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. I do have a couple of fairgrounds items here. I received a contract for the Ohio Valley tractor pullers. We're having 2 tractor pulls out at the fair this year. One through NTPA, and then we have another one here with the Ohio Valley Tractor Pullers Association. So I just need approval for entering into a contract with them, so I'll make a motion that we approve the Ohio Valley contract.
I'll second that.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Christie, there is a check that needs to be written here. It's in the amount of $2,300.
Okay.
And all of the information is contained there. The fair committee would like to have 10 picnic tables built for the fairgrounds for the fair. With the new community building at the fairgrounds, all 4-H exhibits are going to be moved into the new community building, so that opens up the headquarters building for alternative uses. And so our thought was to have some picnic tables built and put them in the headquarters building so that folks have places to sit that are not attached to the OA building or other locations there. They aren't attached to another food vendor where folks feel that they're obligated to buy food at that place. So this is just free sitting at the fairgrounds. So I have talked with the different schools in the county, and North is going to build the picnic tables. They had sent me a list of the materials that are needed. I went to Tops last Friday and got an actual price sheet here for all of the materials that are needed. It comes out to $1,243.85, and Tops will deliver those materials to the school so that they can be built prior to the fair this year and prior to school being let out. So I would ask that we go ahead and approve this $1,243. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And Christy, I had talked with Charlie. He can swing by tomorrow and you can get a check.
Oh,
or
a check.
credit card, either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And get that over to Tops. He'll grab that so that he can take it there and Tops will have it to go ahead and get everything
Okay.
ordered. All right, we have a use of facilities from the Decatur County Family YMCA for the rolling bike tour. They will use the northeast corner of the courthouse. It looks like they have an insurance policy here. Looks like it's the standard $1 million. Anybody here want to address the use of facilities for that? No? I know it's something it's a great event. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the use of facilities for the Y.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed, motion carries. All right, up next we have another use of facilities request from Tourism for Rebecca Park for the summer concert series. Erica, you want to talk about that?
Good evening. We have the, you have the magnets up there of the concert series this year for 2026. The dates needed are June 12th, June 27th, July 18th, and July 31st. And we will have food trucks and alcohol sale from Tree City Brew there, and asking permission to have the concerts there. Should be a good lineup. So
All the same kind of line as last year, but
same thing. Yes.
Cool.
Yep. All right.
looks like some good bands lined up this year.
Yeah. Bob Seger tribute, Nirvana tribute. La Fête de Funk is kind of a disco, I don't know, 70s, like dancing.
That's that, Bill?
Yeah. And Billy Joel too, which, yeah. So
I'll make a
it'll be a
motion
good lineup.
to accept the use facilities for this.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, I know we have two other things. I have to apologize, but I need a brief moment. So, I apologize. This is where I'd ask the Corps for leave to go off the record for 5 minutes.
Should maybe got the small, not the.
Large power rate is not a great idea.
How's everyone going tonight?
Good, thank you.
Just wanted to come back here and see if you guys were able to make your decision upon if we could get a discount on the lease of the fairgrounds for our upcoming event for the 2027. I did send Jeremy all the information for what we plan to do for the next 5 years, our show plan and schedule of how we're going to run that, on how all the from per day to what the prizes and the prizes and the money we'll share out to the and what we expect from what we will bring in as profit. So
Yeah, he shared that with all of us.
yes, sir.
And you had sent me via text after the last meeting a diagram of
Yes.
different buildings as well that you were looking at. So it was the community building, the livestock pavilion, the rabbit poultry barn. Were there any others?
No. So we plan to use the rabbit barn and the poultry barn and the big livestock barn for pens and our show ring. Now we want to use the community building for our dinner and the sale. Now we spoke on the. I sent you. I know you sent me Jeremy in a text that said you guys don't want animals in the community building, and we're not gonna put them in there.
Yeah.
So there's a new system that a lot of sales have been using for the past 5 to 10 years. It's called CCI Live. So what breeders do is they take photos of their animals, and there's a system that puts it into, and we just have an auctioneer and they auction them off. So none of the animals will be in there. They'll all be in the livestock building. We just want to have a nice place where people could sit down, have drinks, have dinner, and have an auctioneer site like that. So
Is there, I'm just asking because I don't know, an issue of putting swine in the rabbit and poultry buildings?
no, because we'll put pins in there. Our plan was put pins in there to house them, or so just like the fair, how the goats, sheep, and pigs have pins. We're gonna put those same pins up to allow the people to bring pins in, their pigs in to allow them to be in the barn, because we expect we will not have enough space for trailers, so we want to make it available for people and families to take pigs into the barn to get them ready or to keep them there throughout the 3 days and stuff like that. So
'Cause I did have somebody ask me that they approached me and said, I don't know if we ought to be having swine in the rabbit building and or in the poultry, crossing that line. And I don't know enough about it to say yes or no. I just had that comment made to me, so I'm asking the question.
Well, here's another thing is we're having the show in April, and the fair is not until July.
Correct.
So there's gonna be a good time of where if there's any disease or anything that
That's more what their contamination disease, crossing those,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know.
And there's gonna be, I mean, there's 2 months that have nothing in there. We'll power wash everything once we're done. I did speak to someone at the community building about that, and someone also at the cattle battle they do hire someone or they do it themselves. So we're also able to power wash and clean the building, make it spotless back to what it was before. So we are willing to do that.
All right, just checking.
Yeah. One other thing I would like to ask, and I spoke to the other people. There's 3 other people that are working alongside with me on this project and this fundraising event. Usually when people put on a large swine show or a show, they have so it doesn't get clustered and flustered, and people are going 100,000 places. They usually have a place where trailers come and get in line to be put in place. So when we sell the trailer spots, we don't want 20 trailers going in at one time and potentially causing a wreck. So we were wanting to ask if we would be able to, and we didn't know who owned the parking lot of the baseball field, to allow trailers to come in and pretty much do a big square, honestly. So come in, we would have a table check in to where ask him, okay, what's your name? What trailer spot do you have? Are you getting pins or are you getting a trailer spot? So we're not having people going in every direction and potentially causing a wreck as well, because we do not want that.
It's a good idea, but I think in April of 27, more than likely there will be baseball tournaments.
Every weekend in April.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't know if there's baseball tournaments or anything like that, so we just was wanting to ask. And then the second thing, or along with that, is would you guys be okay if we use where the rides are usually at the fair? Would you guys be okay with the people that put all their animals in pens? If we use that grass area as a trailer drop off, so people could unhook their trailers so they have a place to put them and they're not on a hill or anything down by the river. Would that also be something that you guys would allow us to do? I did send that to you in that diagram, Jeremy, of that's kind of what we would be wanting to potentially do.
So, and looking at that, Landon, it looks like it's really an entire fairgrounds rental is really what it is, more than just a couple of buildings,
Okay.
right? Because I mean, you'd be taking up the entire fairgrounds for the weekend of your show,
For sure.
where nothing else would be able to happen out there. Is that fair?
Yeah, that would be fair. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, in that circumstance, if you're renting the entire fairgrounds, then it's your facility to use.
For sure.
As you see fit. If you aren't renting the entire fairgrounds, then that's where you get into an issue of having access to other buildings or somebody that may be renting it or not renting it.
Right.
What would be the price if we rented the whole fairgrounds? Because right now it's only roughly around $4,000.
Yeah. So the rental fee for non-501c3s is $10,000. Let me scroll down. Just
I did check. There is a softball tournament every weekend.
yeah. And then applicable to, this is under the not-for-profit section of the rental agreement. All rentals for Decatur County not-for-profit / 501c3s will receive a 50% off the rental price. Non-Decatur County entities can request this, can follow the procedure laid out below, which is coming to us. Or if they have a belief that they are entitled to or should receive a higher discount than 50%, they come to us, and the considerations or the criteria include cost of event for participants, who benefits from the proceeds of the event, does the event benefit Decatur County residents or youth, or other factors left to the discretion of the Decatur County Commissioners. Those are the factors in the rental agreement. And I think through Landon's presentation, he's covered those.
Well, are you a 501c3?
Yes, sir, we are. I did give you guys that paperwork when I came in the first time. In all reality, the money we'll put down for the rent, we're going to take, it would be out of what we would make in profit, because we've already planned out what we're trying to get in sponsorships. So if you don't allow us to get the discount, it would go out of what we'd make as a profit for our program to help us be able to buy the equipment and buy the animals and do all the things that we're trying to pursue to do.
You're not actually purchasing the animals, you're leasing.
Yes, correct, but just in that diaphragm.
Right. I'm under the thought process of they're gonna get a discount with the 501c3. That's all I think for me is that $5,000 for the fairgrounds.
Yep, I agree with you. I thought, so when I read the contract, I thought we were just expecting to do the three barns. We didn't look at the big picture. So I agree with you guys 100%. I just thought when I read the contract, it said that even going blank. I forget what it said. I thought it said that even if you weren't or not, like whether you were a non-for-profit or not, you would have to request to get a a down price. So that's what I thought. That's why I came in the first time.
Nope. It's stated here, Decatur
Okay.
County not-for-profits /
Okay.
501c3 will receive 50% off of rental price. And Landon, honestly, I think what you're doing is great. I don't think that I can justify a lower.
Yeah, no, and I
cost than
totally
that,
understand. And I totally
because
understand that.
part of that is if you're bringing in the number of hogs that you're talking about,
Mhm.
these folks are going to be in the wash racks 24/7.
Mhm.
They're going to be using water that's
Mhm.
ridiculously expensive for
Mhm.
us on the price per meter, and the amount of water that's going to be flowing there. The electrical is going to be outrageous. So I mean, we're going to have costs as well that. I mean, it's either your event's paying for it
Mhm.
with all the money that you're bringing in, or county tax dollars are paying for it.
Mhm. For sure.
So for me, plus we have other events that come in that are also not for profit that we
You gotta
have
be
a
fair.
history of
Yep.
charging.
And you gotta be fair.
For usage of the facilities out there,
Okay.
and so I don't feel like at this point I can personally justify it.
No, and that's totally understandable. I mean, if you guys, like I said, I didn't realize the.
You were coming to ask to get to the 5.
Yes,
Instead of
that
being
is
able to-
correct. Yes, that is
Yes,
correct.
yes, you do fall into those guidelines, so everything's good.
That is what I was trying to do. That's correct.
You have liability insurance.
Yes, we do. Yes, sir.
When you rent it, you'll have to submit all that paperwork prior to renting.
Mhm. Correct. Correct.
So we'll have to follow all the guidelines.
Yep.
Yep.
When we fill out the contract, will have to be brought to you guys to approve it, or? Okay, I just didn't know. I just saw you guys do some other contracts like that, so I just didn't know if I would have to come back to.
No, this is just a little different because using the fairgrounds, we go through the extension office for like a total fairground rental.
For sure.
We put together the pricing and everything and already set the parameters.
For sure,
So
for
they
sure.
they can handle it.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Like I said, I thought what he said, I thought we had to pay the full 10,000. So that's why I came in to you guys, and I was trying to make
Absolutely.
that.
And I would encourage Landon as well, like we talked, is that cleanup of those poultry and rabbit. So they're as you when you came in, they're the same. When you
For
left.
sure, for sure. And we would absolutely love to have any of you guys come out. I know it's a year in advance, but whatever, 3 days. I mean, if you want to come, probably Saturday and Sunday would be our most busiest days. So if any of you guys would like to come out, check it out, you guys are more than welcome. When we're currently getting our flyer done, so I can send it to Jeremy and he could share with you guys, and you guys.
So Landon, just so you know, the way that the rental agreement is worded, it's a price per day. You get the day before for setup and the day after for setup. So that may be something that you have to consider if you're talking about a multi-day show.
Okay, so what do you mean?
So say your show is, your event is on a Saturday. You would have access, the Friday for setup, and you would have access for the Sunday for tear down and clean up.
Okay.
Unless you're renting then for, say, a Friday, Saturday show, and then you get those shoulder days as well for setup.
So I would need the shoulder days of Thursday and Monday.
Right. But so your event then is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
So the way that this is worded is the charge is per day. That 5,000.
So it'd be okay.
Is,
And that's what I was.
if you're looking at it, it's actually 15,000.
Yeah.
Is the 50% discount if you're having a 3-day show.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So something to take into
Yeah,
account
for
with
sure.
the size of your first year event and that kind of thing.
For sure. When, so we already have it on the schedule. When is the latest that we could pay that fee and still have it? So it doesn't. There's no time.
That is up to you as far as reserving your dates.
Okay. Would there be a
to make sure that nobody else has rented it, and when you go to rent it, you have to put a deposit down for you to actually reserve it.
Mhm.
You can't just walk in and just speak for it, and that is your reservation. A deposit actually has to be made, it is refundable, again, per the contract.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is there, I haven't looked back at the contract, but is there, like, can you make payments or does it all have to be up front?
It says deposit payable at the time of contract signing. So when you move to reserve that date, that's when the deposit is due.
Okay.
And I know just the community building, the new building, has already been booked for, I think, several events in 27. So there are already dates. I don't know when they are.
For sure.
But there are already dates in 27.
Okay.
In which different aspects of the fairgrounds are being used.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Okay. Well, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Sefton.
Oh, it's great to meet with you guys again. That means we're getting one step closer. I guess I'd be spokesman for the future of the inclusion ball field for the handicapped children. We did a preliminary rendering, and actually Eric Schmidt did that. He's with me tonight. Eric has built many fields over the country. There's 250 of these over the country. But the main reason that I wanted to be on the agenda is we need to know where the location in Rebecca Park will be, because it makes a big difference. If I've got, kind of the simple rendering, but as we get closer and for us to be able to get like pamphlets set out and things to put on the internet for fundraising and what have you, we need to know where we're going to be. And so anyway, that's kind of paramount for the future of the ball field. When we started, we were just wanting to look at a ball field, but we think it's important that we look at what might surround the area as far as restroom, concession stand, parking. I've been to Nuxalls Park, and I've been to one down in Minnesota, Florida. And the main thing is we don't want to limit ourselves where we can't put in an inclusion putt-putt course or an inclusion ice cream shop or an inclusion concession stand, and we definitely will need handicapped restrooms. But I want to introduce Eric here. He would probably be better at answering questions than I would, because this is his area of expertise, and I'm just an old farm boy with big ideas. So I will give you a copy of the renderings if I haven't already, and that kind of lets you know kind of what our thought process is, okay?
Awesome.
Eric?
Thanks, Mike.
What is the size of the footprint needed for construction and after completion?
It kind of varies. So, with this rendering here, it's just really like an initial kind of get the imagination thing going here. So we're discussing a couple options. Some of those fields are as small as a 120-foot fence. Good average size is a 150-foot fence. The kids can still jack dingers over the fence. Gets pretty awesome. So having 7 long balls. But also there's other circumstances where if it's in a community, say like this, we'll take it out to a 200-foot fence. That way softball, youth baseball, like 10 and under can use it. You can still use it for coach pitch, T-ball, educational ball. So that's a discussion to have on where to set that fence at. I know right now we're thinking if it's going to be primarily a special needs field, then we would go between the 130 and 135-foot range. So that's the ball diamond. Then we also have to accommodate the dugouts and accommodate the fan seating for a minimum. And then as we phase up and build out, press box, concession stand, and some of the other amenities that you would want to have at a premier park for our kiddos.
What is Mike's thought process from the Rotary Club as far as raising the money, right? But what are you thinking? Is this inclusion diamond only, or are you thinking if it's not being used for inclusion, could it be used for, as he said, T-ball or other things? And what is your thought process?
Well, our thought process was originally, when I introduced the idea, was simply a ball field. And we didn't even think about Rebecca Park. We thought about there, and there was enough obstacles out there that we decided to go and hopefully put it in Rebecca Park, which that's why we came before you before, and that was okay. Well, the cornfield out there, you know, that is great for the expansion room if we wanted to go ahead and put in miniature golf eventually. That would be inclusion golf, and I'd love for you to see the Nuxall place over there. It just lays it out. They had, what's kind of ball that they throw?
Bocce ball.
Yeah,
Bocce ball.
Special Olympics bocce ball, and the golf as well. So that's kind of nice because and the thing is with the bocce ball and the putt putt is the way that it's designed, it's universal. So regardless of you have your ability or if you're in a mobility device, every kid in the community, every adult in the community has an opportunity to use it.
It's kind of like the playground out there. It's an inclusion
mine.
playground, but
Eric was the one that built that.
I designed that playground.
a lot of people use it. I take my grandkids out there and use it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of nice because that's one of the things that we really strive to be good at is taking care of our entire community without making it look like or focus on one specific need. And I'm sure you guys are aware when that was built, it was a number one infrastructure improvement in Indiana under $1 million a year was built. And that's one of another reason we really like Rebecca Park is because that's there, right? And it could be such an amazing community hub with what you have with the concert series and the splash pad, the playground, and everything you have an opportunity to do out there. And with the cornfield, there is opportunity for growth, right? So we've seen fields that we've built 4 or 5 years ago that they're getting so many athletes coming in that we're now building another field, additional field for them. We're in the design phase for Sean Casey's field in Pittsburgh, put a second field in for him now. This just grows so fast, and it's kind of neat because you get the entire community coming together, an amazing community space, great opportunity for everyone. This is the kind of projects like this, and you know, it's a big picture, big scope, but it's not all tomorrow. It can be absolutely phased out. And you have so many amazing things already with the walking trail, the fitness cluster that you guys have out there. Now, little tweaks could be made to that to make that more inclusive. So there's like upper bars for folks with mobility devices to be able to use some of the equipment as well. But that's a big bite out of the apple that's already there. The walking path being in there is a big bite out of the apple that's already there. It's just being able to create a much bigger and better environment, but a better environment that, you know, we can look 5-6 years down the road without even having a completion date set. Number one goal is get the kids playing ball, right? We can get the diamond in, start with aluminum bleachers, then upgrade to, like fan seating with, solid wood brick, make it look really like a ballpark. But, there's ways to be able to get it. But, what we like to say is we got to play ball first, and then we can build the park.
One thing that when I brought this before the Rotary, I didn't realize what kind of economic impact that this has on other communities. And it's just been unreal how people come to it because there's not a bunch of them out there. The closest one to Greensburg is Mooresville or Newcastle, and then Fairfield, Ohio. Those are the 3 closest ones. And now the athletes are getting where they want to travel to play, so they don't have to play on the same ball diamond every week. They want to go to a neighboring city 50, 100 miles away. They went to Gettysburg, or not Gettysburg, Cooperstown.
Went to Cooperstown last year. The year before that, we went down to Pigeon Forge, played at the Revkin Experience. And these are teams from Fairfield, Ohio, Mercer County, New Jersey, New York, Western Massachusetts, Sioux City, Iowa. All these families, that kids that can travel, are able to come to do these. So we throw one of these events once a year. This year, we're bringing 5 foundations, and we're all going to be playing at Nuxall for a 3-day travel ball tournament. I mean, every kid should have an opportunity to play and to have the big league experience. A lot of us grew up with that, being able to have kids who are good enough to play travel ball, or ourselves being good enough to be able to play travel ball. And it's just not that we want to build a travel ball facility right now, but we want to create the opportunity so these kids can be in a structured environment where they're getting the exercise, they're outside, they're building peer-to-peer relationships, families are meeting, right? It's like, oh, my kid, well, I'm talking to this doctor about this therapy, and be able to transfer that from community to community to community is just a wonderful thing we're able to do.
The only thing I see with this drawing, which is, it's actually very nice to be able to actually see this on paper. We've only really, just looked at the field and tried to envision what you would do. So this is extremely helpful. The only thing I see is, Mike, we had some discussion in the beginning, that parking is one of the biggest concerns that we have at Rebecca. We're already short on parking now. And so it's been in our outlook of how do we, where do we put the parking lot? Where do we add the additional parking? Because again, we're already short. So I noticed like in this rendering, it's taken up the whole field versus we were looking to hopefully put parking in that section as well. Because we don't want to lose all the green space just inside of what we have in the park now. So, and I think that if we went solely with just this plan, which I know this is just preliminarily, but I think if we went solely with this plan, that's kind of what it would force us to do, is to turn all the green space into concrete.
Yeah, I agree with you. When we did that initial rendering, we figured there's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11 additional.
Okay.
Let's just get kind of like set a placeholder here. It's like,
Very
okay,
helpful to see.
we know we want to clock the field a little bit, so we got the east-west. We don't have the north-south sunset or east-west sun going in. So things like that, we really kind of put a lot of thought in design. Along the existing roadway there's pool and ADA parking. Me and Mike spent an hour over at Rebecca today. I love seeing that place. It used to be my home for a couple of months we were making it. But, it's like simple things like moving the ballards back so we can access from that side of the park and use that one center field that's behind the restrooms as maybe additional parking lot. Just because the kids are on mobility devices doesn't mean they can't move. Heck, we're going to get them playing baseball.
Yeah.
Right? So if the restroom is 30, 40, 50 yards away, it's not unmanageable.
Yep. Okay. So what I hear, Mike, that you need is like an affirmative from us that we're saying Rebecca Park in this general area.
Yeah, because we can't put anything together until I hear from the commissioners. I want you to put that right somewhere in that cornfield, or I want you to put it right there in the middle. The other place, there's a few issues that would go on behind the pickleball court, and that would be that the parking lot's pretty close. I'm afraid that something might happen to the cars in Arbor Grove, but the main thing would be that's where all the parents is gonna park thinking, oh, I got a place over here, and then all of a sudden you don't have enough people being able to park at Arbor Grove.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, maybe potentially moving those ballards down because you already have automobile access there before. But if you move the ballards back, you could take that automobile access and have that area behind the pickleball court for additional parking, still allowing for the ADA parking along the path, along the cornfield.
Did you present this to the Parks Board too? Just have them look at it first?
No, I have only taken it to the Rotary, which there's some of the park people in Rotary, so I can't say they don't know about it, but.
Because obviously, they fall into the maintenance and the whole rest of the piece and their future plans if they have some as well. So I want to make sure that they saw this.
That's one of the things that kind of are like what we would like to see as next steps. Once we have an area where we know it's like this is where we go, we can really get that dialed in, use it, shut it up, do fly-throughs, have vendor or sponsorship areas. So Mike and his team can take it out and do some additional fundraising for some of the phase 2 things, like getting maybe an additional restroom, but grandstand seating, press box, concession stand, things like that.
I think, go ahead, Gabe.
Well, I just, for Chris and Erica's on our Parks Board, Chris is our executive director. Do you have any, not looking at any plans, but do you guys have any concerns?
We also have Brian Robinson.
Oh, Brian. I thought you were virtual. I didn't even see you over there. I'm sorry.
Billy gets a good
He's
concert.
only the president for it, right?
It's been 2.5 hours. So 3. So Brian is also our Parks Board president. Do you guys have any concerns, or just with as far as naming Rebecca Park where it will be, not any placement of anything or structure?
I think Parks on board with it being at Rebecca.
Okay. So and that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
It's just that
I
it.
need to know
just that it's going to be at Rebecca Park in the general vicinity of somewhere.
Yeah, and the thing is, we can do renderings if we, if we put it in the field, we know some idea of maybe what can go around it.
Okay.
Now, if it's over by Arbor Grove, we're gonna build a field and that's gonna be, there's no expansion room there for, the miniature golf. It'd have to go someplace else, maybe it would go, and I'm thinking far out, but the way I look at things, and you gotta remember, I was just a poor dirt farmer at one time, and for us to have a hog facility that was in 3 different places was just a major inconvenience. And we would have been better off to start out in an open field and add it to it there instead of having to add some here, some there, and some over here. So inefficient, but I think, if you could get inclusion, and everybody know Greensburg's noted for the inclusion part, and we've got building bridges out there, the inclusion park that's already there. We have the ball field, maybe we would have a soccer field down the road, maybe we would have, a concession stand's gotta be there pretty quick, but the main thing is we gotta get them playing ball. We can get trailers coming out there to serve food, if we're having a tournament out there, but, we gotta get them playing ball first, but we gotta know where to put the field.
And I will just stretch that again, though, that also for them to come out there and to use those facilities, we'd have to have somewhere to park. And there's already nowhere to park. So we just need to make sure as we're looking at renderings that we're accounting for the space in order to add the parking lot, because there is nowhere for anyone to park out there now, if you were to have any kind of event.
Yeah, and my only thought with the parking as designed on here is you're then reversing out onto that road. And I know Chris had emailed at least me, and at least we discussed it on the phone last week about issues out there already with that road being busy. People are fast.
There were some discussions too
And
early
so-
on about potentially closing that off
Yeah.
too.
So the backing out onto that road is a concern for me with the way it's designed. I think maybe
I think there's enough length there. If you're looking with, say, an average Saturday, not a trail, not a bunch of kids, or 4 or 5 teams coming, but if you're having 2 teams for, usually games are an hour, 15, hour and a half max. They keep them timed to 5 innings. Kids are getting in, get the wiggles out, get them back. I think you have enough with the length of that where you could do pull side in parking, right? Just facing one direction out. I don't think you have to pull in. Especially, you're going to have grandparents. You're going to have neighbors and friends that are going to want to watch these games. So the additional parking lot potentially behind the pickleball court, if that will work, if that would be easily accessible, to just be able to get those stalls that don't require the ADA access.
Well, I think to me personally, I'm okay with it going at Rebecca Park, but I think there's going to have to be some further discussions just as far as the layout. Like again, we don't want people backing out. We don't want people parking alongside that road. We're okay with closing that. I don't want to say closing the road, but closing that drive. I mean, we've talked about that, but that's some potential that we could do that and then make that into a parking lot at the back. So maybe the granular pieces are to come. But
There may be room to add parking in that area if we just take the field out further.
any drainage issues or water issues.
We looked at that. There's a culvert that goes under the main road right there now. And the only place we really are going to be putting drainage is underneath the synthetic surface itself. That's the only place we're piping water. So, and it is pervious. So you don't have to worry about any water sheeting or anything like that. So, and what we would do is just take it over and put it into that culvert.
I'm for Rebecca Park. I'm with Gabe. There's got to be a lot of planning and
Agreed.
location and renderings, drawings, and because parking's a premium, 100%. We want to make sure we're looking for the future. We want to make sure that, as we look at this, we don't want to be short-sighted, nearsighted, right? So I think all those things are important. But as for this evening, I'd say I'm on board with Rebecca Park for what you need for this evening, right? All those other things we can work on.
There's going to be a
work
lot
towards.
of Zoom calls, a lot of meetings to get it dialed in a little closer to where we say, okay, this is like close enough now where we can render it. We can do high ends where he can take it and go on his fundraising, finish his fundraising.
I guess the big thing is I don't want Eric to spend a lot of time on renderings in the cornfield there, and then we learn it can't go there, it's gotta go over next to Arbor Grove. So see, all I'm wanting to do, ideally, in my little mind, it's like, well, it needs to go in the cornfield. Because like I explained before, because I went this
Right.
short-sighted
Right.
deal where,
Right.
you know, then we get the inconvenience of things. And I feel like the whole inclusion part needs to be at Rebecca Park, because then I think it's something that Greensburg's gonna be noted for. I think it's gonna help us a lot more down in the future. But we don't wanna, you know, design something to go one place and then we sit here the words, nope, you can't do that. We've decided to put it elsewhere.
And that's one thing, when I said short-sighted, we've got a plan. So we've got to get the Parks Department on board, get Chris on board, get us on board, and look at where's the best place for this, for future use, for growth. And maybe what you've got is ideal. This is perfect. We don't know. I mean, I think we really got to sit down with everybody and look at these things. And just make sure, I don't want to, you know, we can make a snap decision and then all of a sudden we're regretting this in 6 months, like, oh man, I wish we'd have moved this over here. Or, so if we have a discussion now, prior to building, then we can get those things ironed out, if that makes sense.
Is the diamond to scale? Or
In
is
that
it?
drawing, yeah, I think that's to scale to 135 feet.
Okay. See, I think if you put it anywhere but the field, it's too congested.
I'm not arguing that fact.
Yeah.
But parking, where are we gonna put parking? If
I
we
think
don't
you're
like
more
the
than-
parking backing out on that drive, where are we gonna put enough parking for 100 vehicles?
Sure. I think we're gonna have to expand the parking that's there by the inclusion close to the pickleball court. I don't think that's gonna be sufficient.
Well, and again, these are all discussions we can have
But
later as we're,
But I think as far as what they need, I think that what they need is, yes, the field is the area. I don't think you can put this in that area there north of the pickleball court. I definitely.
I don't think it'll fit.
It won't. I mean, you'd have to tear out that trail and then we actually potentially get into some issues, because that was grant
That's
money.
grant money, we can't do that.
I don't think we can touch that. You can't go over there towards Arbor Grove. That's actually their ground, and we had to get a contract, an easement with them to get across there for that trail, which includes, I think they're getting rent for one of those storage buildings, Chad, out there as consideration for the easement going across. So, I mean, you're really only looking at that area north of the pickleball courts where the path is, or the field. So, I mean, for me, I think the field is the only place. Now, the location in the field,
Yeah.
I think is up for debate, but I think the field is the only place that is even a possibility at Rebecca Park.
I think that this would probably be best if we can make the motion, we can approve the use, or the fact that it will go at Rebecca Park, but then we could take this to long-range planning and invite Parks to come in with us, and we can all discuss, you know, which way we want to do, and then give you a couple options, and then you can see if that can fit or make it work. And if we have a couple options to look from, then there's a lot of things that need to happen between Parks and us, and they know so much about the property and where maintenance stuff is and the issues and the problems that they've seen already. And then, of course, we have to take into our account the future. So I think that's probably
That's fine.
I'm absolutely happy to sit on those meetings where, working with the city of Florence, Kentucky right now, I'm building 2 ball diamonds for them. And we're meeting every 2 weeks as the plan progresses. We meet up because, like, the architect might come up with questions, oh, we need a drainage detail, right? So we're meeting every 2 weeks to get it to, okay, this is the final build design. So that's par for the course for how this works.
I would make a motion to approve Rebecca Park as the future location of the inclusion diamond location on that property, unspecified right now. But for the fundraising efforts, that's what matters is we know where we want it to go, and whether that moves 100 feet this way or that way, I don't think should play into that role right now.
The renderings that we are going to show people here, hopefully in the next few months, with the fancy fly-throughs and everything, isn't going to be exactly what gets built down the road. So we're still ahead of the game just to get in front of people.
Right.
right? And then it's still gonna be fluid. We'll be making changes all the way until we put shovels in the ground. And sometimes changes as the shovels are underground.
Do you guys have a target? Mike, do you have a target date when you'd like to get this thing going? Starting?
Yeah, last month.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know the ins and outs of all this. I mean, it's a learning curve for me. And, you know, used to be in what I dealt with, if I got an idea in the morning, I was working on it that afternoon. That's, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just an old country boy, you know, but I understand, I'm beginning to understand kind of how it works. But the main thing is I don't want to have renderings done if then we're told, no, it's not gonna go there, it's gonna go here. That's all I need to know is if you said, okay, you know, you got three areas. You got, west, middle, and east, and which fields are gonna go in. That's all we need to know, and then we can start doing the renderings and be able to, produce that if somebody asks a question, where's this gonna be? Well, it's gonna be out back park somewhere, you know. Well, no, I'd rather be able to get pictures drawn up and say, this is what, guys, this is what's gonna be down the road. And, you know, this may be a 10-year, segment that starts out with just a ball field, but then this is gonna go into that. And, you know, you may have, you know, Rotary's gonna take, and try to raise all the money for the baseball field. But then you've also got, you know, a concession stand, you've got a restroom, you've got, maybe a miniature golf course, maybe, you know, maybe. And the thing is, you wanna have enough room to be able to tell people this is one. You know, I'd like to see it before and after. This, you know, jump on it.
And I think we'll get there, but we can't do that tonight. So, I mean, the goal that you need is to say that it will go at Rebecca Park. So, again, I will make the motion that we approve Rebecca Park as a location of the inclusion document.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And then we'll work together.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, final thing here. Let's Fire EMS, Decatur County EMS.
I apologize. This is
General
literally the longest meeting we've
topic.
ever had.
This is the marathon, Matt.
This is the new record. Easy.
I'm actually glad I came to this meeting. There's so much positive stuff happening in the community that I witnessed tonight. Makes me, you know, pretty proud to be a community member. So the reason I want to come to the commissioners, I sent you guys emails, kind of looking towards working towards an agreement with us. As you said, Decatur County Memorial Hospital has the contract to provide 911, but we are doing a lot of backup. I guess in perspective, if you look at the Sheriff's Department, their numbers in probably 1997 was half what it is today. And they've grown. And I think the sheriffs in the past have done a good job articulating the need for growth. If you look at our EMS, we haven't grown. Let's has added ambulances to backfill because we've seen the need. But you guys know what you pay the hospital, and it's really underfunded, to be very honest. And, you know, they can only do so much for what they got. You know, I hear people think that 911 is just as important or more important than transfers. I think transfers are equally as important because it's getting our community members from our critical access hospital to definitive care at St. Francis, IU Health, wherever it be, you know, Cincinnati. But I know they're struggling, and I think maybe you guys have talked to them about that. Have you had conversations?
There's been a few preliminary conversations. It's really, I wouldn't even say conversations. There's been some here and there, and just knowing that, yes, something was going to have to be done differently in the future, but we haven't had that, you know, executive session with the hospital to then, you know, discuss those terms.
You know, in the past, we kind of offered up, you know, we want to help our neighbors. I can't do it for free. You know, it costs about $180 an hour right now to operate a staffed vehicle. I've got 2 crews on Let's today, so that's a lot of money that we're putting out to help cover. And I don't know what those numbers are, but I wanted this preliminary conversation to see if the commissioners would be, you know, would look at maybe entering into an agreement with us and helping us out. as a backup fashion, just like we do now. Leanne, do you have any idea what the numbers are?
We
Yeah,
do.
I did pull some numbers. I have commissioners have asked for some numbers. Are you referring to your stats?
Yeah, to ours, yeah.
Okay. So I pulled the last 2 years is what I pulled. So from 24 to, so I took from April 24 to April 25, 110 calls. And that is when you guys were toned down. And it actually worked good because April 24 is when we started using Let's EMS.
Second set of
Home.
homes, right.
So even though I still had to go through manually and separate some of that and go through some redundancies, because the system picks up every little thing, it worked a little faster on that. So it was 110 calls for that year, and then this past year was 124. So yeah, and you guys carry majority of that mutual aid,
Yeah.
which I also provided them. Which I'm not sure how familiar. I'm sure Brian is familiar. But the mutual aid EMS map, how much Let's covers for mutual aid for our whole county, along with those stats.
And we call it mutual aid, but it's really not mutual because they don't reciprocate, helping us, essentially. It's kind of,
Have you went to the hospital and asked for funding from the hospital?
I have not. And
Why
the
is
reason I haven't is because of what the county pays for the ambulance. What is the contract, 150-some thousand a year?
No, it's 120.
120,000 a year. Just in the math in my head, just for them to break even at payroll, they have to do 10 transports a shift. That's just payroll. The ambulance business, people think it's flush with cash because you think there's big charges. And there could be big charges. But the fact of the matter is the reimbursement rates from Medicare and Medicaid and private insurance is terrible. The typical Medicare run will pay $380. If you have a cardiac arrest, the IO that we put in, to drill in the bone is $125. The monitor that I put the people on is $65,000, and there's annual maintenance to that. It's super expensive to do that. But I wanted that conversation was,
I just feel like, for us, as commissioners, we're in a contract with the hospital. And we contract them to do EMS for us. They choose to use you and or other people for their backup. I think you have a mutual aid agreement with the hospital. Isn't that correct?
We do have a mutual aid agreement.
And I think within that mutual aid agreement, there's nothing correct me if I'm wrong, specifies you would get paid for your mutual aid.
Right, there is not, but it's really, at this point, it's not mutual. It's one-way aid.
And I'm just saying that you have an agreement. Okay, look, we can leave out the mutual. You have an agreement with the hospital that you would provide a backup service with them, and you haven't asked them for any funding for that.
I can go to the hospital and the board and ask that. But again, at the end of the day, what the county pays for the service. When I went back and said about the sheriff's department, I think maybe the sheriffs in the past articulated well they needed an increase. Since '97, we've doubled our sheriff's department. We got a $26 million jail over there. We haven't changed anything that EMS has done. We haven't changed ambulance numbers. We know the volume of calls. When I worked at the hospital, we was doing a couple thousand a year. Calvin told me his last year over there was like 4,500. The volume's double what it was, but we're still contracting with one ambulance, essentially.
And we recognize that there's changes need to be made. I think we can all agree that that service needs assistance or needs upgraded. We recognize that.
And I don't think a lot of people probably do realize how much you guys do. And it is a lot, and it is very greatly
It's very
appreciated.
taxing, yeah.
And you guys are very responsive, and it's always been willing to help. You guys responded to the Carrots on the Square issue, thing last year. I mean, you guys have always been a big help. I think in order to kind of direct it the right way, we wouldn't want to have two agreements, because then who's really reliable? Who's liable? If we have two agreements with you, that may allow the hospital, like one with you, one with them, that may allow the hospital to do nothing but transfers. And then you're taking all the calls. Just as a scenario, or vice versa.
I do think we need to sit down collaboratively, like with the hospital, and have a discussion about it, because we definitely need to improve our EMS system in the county.
I will agree with that, Matt, 100%.
I do too.
I mean, it needs.
But this is where it starts, is
Right.
having this conversation.
Right,
so.
right. I agree.
I think that right channel though is probably going to the hospital, so things.
For us, it is.
Yeah, right. So then they go, well, hey, if we're, going to have to change something, then.
Right. And I did include Matt in the carbon copied him in an email that I sent you guys.
Yeah.
Because I want everybody on the same page.
Because then the discussion also has to include the council.
Sure.
I mean, fiscally,
On the financial
we can
side of it.
say we're going to give whatever, but it's got to go through the council to. They're the fiscal body of the county.
This is the right time of year to start that discussion, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Budget's coming up.
No,
So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
Sure.
Yeah, and I will echo Gabe. I 100% appreciate your willingness, the Let's Fire Department willingness to do that backup right now for gratis, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think our county should appreciate that. You've done it.
Very much.
I mean, that doesn't go without recognition. It's just that we are in a contract with the hospital, and we have to be careful. We've got to do it in a certain way. So
We appreciate all the volunteer fire and the EMS and.
yeah, I'm remiss if I didn't mention that too.
Yes,
But there,
but I even included in the email, your guys' response, you guys always have so much to offer. And, there's only been a couple of times that maybe you guys weren't able to, but you guys were always there when we needed it, so.
Yeah, like I said, we're 100% about being community team players, but on the other end of that too, we got to be
costs money.
financially.
it costs money.
It does cost a lot of money, so
I
that's
agree.
why I wanted to start this conversation, and no better time than now. So I will talk to the hospital and meet with them and keep you guys in the loop. But
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
All right.
We appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. You guys have anything else?
Well, I'm kidding. No, I don't.
All right.
I was going to try to hurry up and get it out before you start talking.
I'll entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
All right. We are recessed. Thank you, everyone.